Rob Lime from Indianapolis. Rob is your quintessential corporate misfit. He doesn't ascribe to the notion that working more is always worthwhile. All right, wow. On the contrary, he seeks the nobility of balance. He's actually a trained music teacher and self-described oldish millennial, and he's a natural fit with his tech entrepreneur clients. And his best advice on sales training is to never give up. Don't quit. Just a quick note, we will have a break at 9:30, a short break at 9:30, and then we'll come back and end the event around 11:15. All right, so y'all give it up for Mr. Rob Lime.
Thanks. Yeah. I think Marla was gonna own the microphone. We need a microphone runner. Was that you, or did you just get nominated? Hey guys, thanks for having me. Really great to be here. Let's get rolling. You guys, do I have my share right for this screen? You good? Anyway, I'll get going and we'll get it figured out as we get rolling. So anyway, thanks. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm very grateful to be here. And a shout out. I don't know how all the people that went into getting this event organized and to make today happen, but a freaking shout out to Marla and whoever else. This is seriously, it's a huge event and it's very safe and everybody's this is the best run event I've been to since the pandemic, right? And I've only said that 4 times. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. Anyway, so thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. I'll respect the break time. Let's see, we'll go to about 9:30. We have 2 topics today. We're going to talk about why salespeople fail, and virtual selling, and sort of how the two are married, right? And we'll get to break before I necessarily finish the first topic. I get a feeling, just so you know. Here's what to expect. Here's what to expect from me today. Most of those folks attending either by Zoom or in person here own a business, right? I know we also invited their sales staff, maybe some operations people as well, maybe other people in the company. But most of y'all are either entrepreneurs or salespeople, right? Entrepreneurs, CEOs, business owners really care about 2 things most: top line and bottom line, right? Culture's important, but that's what a business is. That's what capitalism is. And salespeople care about their goals, their commissions, making money, right? So today, for the next 3 hours, our goal together should be to get you out of here with an idea, a concept, a new behavior, a new way of being that's going to make you some money, like even this month, right? People on stage, talks, it can get convoluted. I tend to throw out a lot of ideas, right? I'm going to go really wide and not deep today, right? Because my goal is to get you out of here with something that'll make you money. But that is a joint responsibility that you have to share with me, okay? I promise to get you the opportunity to learn new stuff that will make you money, make you better at running your business, make you better at selling, make you better at managing salespeople, hiring salespeople, maybe a better sales process, maybe a better way to go to market in terms of prospecting, right? I'll get you new information today, but you have to participate, ask questions, whatever it takes to sort of also hold me to account of that goal of getting you out of here with the right stuff so that you can make money. If there's 80 to 100 people attending today, obviously I could not do 80 to 100 pre-interviews with you to understand your business, understand your most important problems and those kinds of things, right? So we'll get you a lot of opportunities to get you what you need to get out of here to make money, but I really want you to be able to look back on today at some point and go, I got this piece of business, or I hit my goal, or whatever, I'm on fire this quarter because of stuff that happened on that day in January, stuff that I learned and then applied. Make sense? Fair? Does that make sense? You guys good with that? You guys accept that responsibility? Is that cool? Good. Great. As I continue down my what to expect from today, one of the things that you've already figured out is that I'm really informal. And what I care the most about is what I just told you. You know, getting you out of here with lessons learned, getting you out of here with how to apply your lessons learned, not necessarily falling, you know, I'm trying to get my slides up, it's not working, I promise things will go wrong today. People on Zoom, I promise you'll feel a little neglected and ignored just because I don't have like monitors to see you. We're going to try to keep up on your chat, but today is going to be imperfect, right? But if we stick to that goal, 1 to 6 high-level lessons learned, how to apply, we'll be okay, and hopefully you guys can just forgive me for my informality. You guys, I don't have a screen share option that's coming up right now, but I am on the network. I'll just keep plowing ahead, and hopefully we'll figure it out. Again, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. If you want to go in more depth on any particular issue, right? If you go, oh, I got it, Rob, but let's do a role play, or let's hear how that would sound in real life, we'll go there, right? I really do not care that I get through all the material that I come prepared to get through today. I care about getting you out of here with what you need to improve the business and make some money. So just shoot your hand up. I never feel interrupted. Just tell me where I need to go if I need to go somewhere in particular. I'm usually, again, part of being informal is that I promise you I'll be up here telling a story, getting real passionate, and I might say a bad word today. Maybe 2 or 3. Can I have like 3? Is that okay? 2 or 3? 5? You guys good with 5? She says 5. Okay. I'm trying really hard, and I even have my 6-year-old holding me accountable. Dad, when you were on that meeting, she'll come in and interrupt another meeting. She'll open the door, interrupt another meeting. Dad, on that last meeting, you said the S word. Sorry, baby. Sorry. Now she's back at school, so maybe I'll get away with it more. Anyway, here we go. Let me try to get my slides up again. It really helps for the people back home, too. Maybe it's because you moved the host to that computer. Just give it a shot. I've got this really great looking slide that's got a quote from Mose. Huh? Yeah, can the laptop live up here? Or? Yeah, that's fine. We'll figure it out. I got this really great looking slide that's got this quote by Mose. I remember when he and Marla and I were setting this event up, and he said, I want people, it says, take action, not notes. Right? And I wrote it down. I said, oh, this is going to be a great looking slide that I'm going to show you. You guys don't get to see it. But trust me, there's a really cool looking slide that says, take action, not notes. And that's how I was going to end my introduction, right? So it's like Mose, take action, not notes, right? It's great that you take notes and learn, right? But what's the point of education, right? Take some action, get better, make some money. Coming? All right. I'm going to grab this again if you don't mind so I don't lose my place. Okay, here's my question. People on Zoom, we're going to go to breakout rooms for just a couple minutes. It's going to be a little choppy and a little sloppy, but it is what it is. People that are live, if you just want to turn to the person next to you, or maybe one person scoot back and go to groups of 3 and have just a real quick conversation. What I want to know is, when it comes to your business, as sales relates and impacts your business, what is the most impactful problem that if I had a magic wand and could fix, or if I could get you down the path to fixing today by 11:15 or whenever it is that we break, that would be the most meaningful to you? What is the most impactful sales problem in your business that could be the most meaningful to you if we made some progress on today? Now, real common answers before I let you break and talk about this. Real common answers are things like, Rob, we just do not have a repeatable way to create a high volume of high quality opportunities in the top of our sales funnel. Right? You might say something like that. Rob, we just do not have a repeatable way to create a high volume of high quality sales opportunities in the top of your sales funnel. You might also say, you know what, Rob, prospecting isn't our issue, or we've got really great marketing. It's closing the opportunities that we create, right? It's closing them at the proportionality that we should close them at. We close at 28%, that really should be 52, right? Or you know what, Rob, we close the business, but by the time that we get done negotiating, our margin is so thin, we almost wish we never got the contract in the first place, right? Or it took so damn long to close. Does damn count? You gave me 5, right? You're the that counts, and I'm down to 4. Tough day. Don't have my slides up yet. By the time that we close the business, it wasn't even worth it, right? The salespeople are so beat up. The engineers or whoever the heck does your estimating was so beat up. We wish we never had the contract. The prospect or the new client, such a pain in the butt. It wasn't even worth it, right? Something else, if you have a bigger organization with a sales team, is I struggled to hire great salespeople. I struggled to hire great management. I struggled to keep my team accountable. We don't have a process that I feel really confident in. Those are some types of things that you might say. Now, answers that we won't accept are things that I can't help you with today, right? If my prospects weren't so stupid, if the price of tea in China doubled, right? If marketing provided us more leads, right? And frankly, stuff that we can't take responsibility for. Let's talk about stuff that we can take responsibility for. Does that make sense? Those are the answers that'll work today. All right, let's go to breakout rooms, all y'all on Zoom, and let's take about 3 minutes, and I'll get back together. And if you don't feel comfortable turning to somebody and having a conversation, I don't blame you for not doing it, okay? So I'll see you guys here in a second. Let's do another minute. One more minute. If one person is dominating the conversation, let the other person talk. Yeah. You guys ready? Let's get back together. I know it's not enough time, and it's a really interesting conversation. But man, I'm trying to plow through a lot today, so let's get back together. What was the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise? Hey, friends on Zoom, we're only going to go to group discussion, breakout rooms, maybe 3 times today. If you have to like opt into the breakout room. So somebody here is going to say, is going to flip you all into breakout rooms, but you have to say, yes, I'll join a breakout room. And if you don't, you'll just be there on your own, right? So if you want to get the most out of today, please join the breakout rooms. It also helps your colleagues and your friends, right? So, okay, where's Marla? Marla's going to run around the microphone. You're not allowed to touch the microphone, and you have to say your name. And if you don't do those 2 things, you will be expelled from the room immediately. So please, it's very important you do those 2 things. No touching of the microphone, and you have to start with your name. Anyone want to share? Or am I just going to start pointing at people? Anyone want to start? What do you got? Right there. No. You. Whoever. Pick somebody.
Well, I'm going to steal my man Brian's here because we did intros and got to a really good one. Kevin McGraw. And it was with the prevalence of virtual meetings now, having people agree to come to meetings, but then no showing on the virtual.
These are prospects.
Prospects, yeah.
Prospects, no showing. Hang on, can you hang out and I'm going to ask him a question or 2? It was his problem though, right?
Yeah.
Whose problem was it, Marla? I'm sorry. Yeah. This is going to be goofy.
Brian Tolbert.
Yeah, so how often is this happening, and how much more is this happening to you than it did in February? Was this always a problem for the team? Is it a new problem? Is it doubled in the size? Can you tell me some of that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So all of our meetings previously, we would go out to the prospect's place of business. So the no-show was very uncomfortable because they were actually in their office and they would just tell us not. So it basically never happened.
Yeah.
Whereas this, they just don't. So I would say it probably happens maybe 40% of the time we set a meeting.
Okay. How are you setting your meetings? Cold calling?
Yep.
Cold calling?
Yep.
What do you guys sell?
Insurance advice.
Who do you sell to? Business
Employers.
owners?
Yeah.
SMB, small? Okay.
Yep.
All right, great. Thanks. Marla, why don't you just pick somebody else? I'm sorry, I know. But I pointed somebody and we don't know, it's too hard. Hey, you got a volunteer in the back. Marla, turn to your right. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Ryan McCausland, and I'm a colleague of the gentleman who just spoke, but in a different part of the business. And one thing that we could do better is we get prospects through the funnel and sometimes even get verbal yeses, right? They say they want to do business together, but
Verb commitment to do business, not just meet.
That's right. So
Okay.
we got them through the funnel, and they say, yeah, like, we're interested, we want to do this. But then creating a sense of urgency for them to sign and implement has been something we could improve.
Okay. Do they ever say yes and then end up not doing business?
Sometimes. Yeah,
Happens
sometimes.
What percentage of the time?
20% of the time.
So enough.
Enough, yeah.
And then the other times they say, let's do it, and it takes us, what, a month, 2 months to close?
That's right, longer than we'd like, months. And sometimes they just say yes soon, and some are still in the funnel, right, that we were expecting to close, but we can't get them through.
Yeah. So what's happening because it takes forever? Like, what do you think is happening because the sales cycle is too long?
I understand your question to be, like, what are the consequences or the negative impact on our business?
Yeah, are they chasing people that are eventually going to close? If they could close them earlier, they'd be prospecting and getting more business instead, or like, what's your take?
That's right. I mean, it's better to get to a no than a maybe, right? So we need to get an answer.
Okay, great. Anything in chat yet?
Yes, Bert Lyle says getting franchisees to recruit and keep strong salespeople. What else from chat?
What, recruit and keep strong salespeople? Okay. Okay. Anything else in chat?
Lee Faribault says need to expand and hire salespeople with the right industry knowledge and culture fit.
What was the first half of that sentence? I'm sorry.
Need to expand and hire salespeople with the right industry knowledge and culture fit.
So kind of a check mark on this same thing.
And then Ryan Long says getting prospect past the not now. We're in an industry that is resistant to change.
Okay. Got it. Anyone else? You guys, this is a really, we could do this for an hour, but I got to move. Yes, right here. I don't know anyone's names. I'm going to be so rude and go, this guy, this girl, right? I apologize.
Marcel Gilbo. We need to up-level, how do you say it, where we go to generate prospects.
You need to what? I'm sorry?
We need to go to the next level, with higher-end projects. So we need to be looking for another level of prospects to even get in front of.
Like a higher quality prospect? A better fit
higher
prospect?
end, yeah.
Okay. Who do you sell to now? Who should you be selling to?
Currently, people are coming to us through a website, a lot of people through a website called House,
Okay.
that they have a certain amount of money to do so much, but we need people who probably are on a higher level income-wise than that,
Okay.
and are not necessarily shopping on house.com.
Okay, so house.com is a marketing strategy, right? So it's marketing versus active prospecting, is that fair? Do you have the ability, the personnel to actively prospect, to do prospecting activity?
Yes, my business
Excellent.
development gal has been helping my architect husband look for, she's been out there meeting people, and she has done an amazing job building business for my husband, doing mixed-use architecture projects, which in my opinion is way harder than finding high-end individuals who want to do $1 million, $3 million
Great.
house right.
Got it.
So it's
Excellent.
it's a shift, because we have these two parallel tracks. I need her to move from that one over to this one and find a different way, using many of the same skill sets, I assume.
Yeah, it's also difficult to, congratulations, our marketing is doing really well, but now we have to, prospecting versus, marketing is a totally different set of behaviors, everything. Yeah, it's good.
She does the prospecting. It's about retooling it, and it.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's do one more. Thank you guys for volunteering.
Alex Tolbert, B2B SaaS, it's HR software for small employers. And I would say just closing a bigger percentage of the prospects that we get in front of.
Do you guys, so it's rare that SaaS companies prospect. Normally they get opportunities through marketing.
Right, yep,
Is that how you guys work?
yes.
Are you very fast to demo? Hey, let us show you what we got.
No, no. We have
Okay.
a 30-minute discovery call followed by a second meeting with a demo.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the discovery call, if you give me the high level.
Short set of questions to understand and try to draw out their pain points,
Okay.
followed by a 8-slide deck giving them an overview of our approach and philosophy on this.
Okay. Are you getting no's because it's too expensive? Are you getting no's because this is nice to have but not need to have? What's happening there?
Well, that's part of what I'm asking you for help with, but I think that our price is fine.
Okay.
We're in the right price range. I think maybe we aren't connecting our solution to their pain as well as we could, possibly.
What do they do when they don't hire you? Do they continue life as it was? Do they hire a competitor?
I think that eventually they hire a competitor.
Okay.
But I think that there is an opportunity to help them, go ahead and make a decision more quickly
Yeah.
than we do.
I'm sure you're right. Yeah. Great. Good. Thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much. Let me give you, are some of these, do we see some of these relevant to other people's businesses? Like, do people go, yeah, that's what's happening to me, or do we have wildly different problems out there? Is it like, yeah, that's what's happening to me too? Okay, all right, cool, great. Let's talk about closing percentage. We're gonna get into a real specific sales process. If you're a closing percentage issue person, I really want you to pay attention to that, please. Right? And that could be your money-making moment. If you're an urgency person, we're going to talk about we're going to talk a lot about consultative selling based off compelling reasons, depth of compelling reasons, pain, impact, commitment to fix the problem, that kind of stuff. Please pay attention to that. That's going to fix urgency. Recruiting, I know a ton about recruiting. It's not always relevant in this. We are going to talk about the makeup of an ideal salesperson, right? And so you folks will want to pay attention to that. Although I got some good stuff for you about how to write the ad, how to attract, how to interview. We won't get there today, so maybe we talk after the fact or something about that extra stuff. We could even do a side Zoom meeting or something for you folks. But we'll get you some pretty good stuff. I will shine a light on some of that stuff today. Not now is also an urgency thing. So same issue. It's sales process, compelling reasons to do business, and better prospecting. We'll talk about sales behavior. We'll talk a lot about prospecting. So there you go. Now, one thing, and let's not talk to each other about this. We don't need to take that much time, but can you commit to paper? Oh, also my handouts. I'm following my handouts with these questions here, right? So the handout that has my logo on it, Lucian. I'm following along with those. You don't have to share. You don't even have to share with me, but can you attach a number to this problem that we'd like to fix? Whatever your problem is, will you please attach a number to it? Either top line or profit, or maybe both. I ask for both. And I know that I'm asking you to take a stab at it, and it's not really fair. But for the sake of getting you out of here, taking action, not notes, please attach a number to the problem. Get close. Okay. Look, if your number's not very big, maybe pick a different problem. I don't know. Most people come up with a big number where they go, wow, I would love to fix this. It's a lot of money to us. Okay? Another thing, and I'm asking you this. Oh, and those of you on Zoom, I've got a Google form that you got in an email. So you don't have a piece of paper in front of you, but you have a Google form that we're following along on. If you could please do the Google form. Can you honestly evaluate your commitment to solving this issue? Right? Let me give you an example. Everybody that's overweight, I'm like 15 pounds overweight right now. I hate it. Everybody that's overweight knows that they're overweight and wants to not be overweight. Like rarely does anybody know, I'm good, right? I got extra 50 pounds, I'm good with that. Everybody wants to be at the right weight. The reason why they fail, right, is the lack of commitment to actually fix it. So I know you want to double your business. I know you want to fix your sales problem. But are you willing to do whatever it takes no matter what, unconditionally to do it? That's what 10 would be. Now, you're not robbing banks to add to your top line. You're not lying, you're not stealing, you're not cheating. None of that stuff within the rules, right? A fair business. But what's your commitment? 10 would be, I'm willing to do whatever it takes no matter what. 1 is, Rob, I'm just here for the free breakfast. Okay? Can you guys do that? And then let me please needle you. There's only one way that money comes into your business. So why aren't you a 10 if you've decided you're not a 10? Right? What's the honest answer? And I get it. You might go, well, Rob, we just don't know how. I don't know how to do it, so I can't be a 10 because I don't know what I should be committed to. That's fine. Right? But if you've got a sales problem, it's impactful, it's costing you, why isn't that like the number one thing that you want to fix? Oh, we've got a hand up. Where's Marla? I guess you could just talk in the microphone. What do you mean by supply? Like you need stuff to sell? Like you can outsell your operations? If you've outsold your operations, that's not a sales problem, no? Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not. Yeah. Which is happening to some people. Good for you. Congratulations. Right? Okay, so seriously, could you answer that to yourself? Like, I'm not gonna call on you and send Marla around with a microphone, but there's only one way money comes into your business. So why is the sales issue not a 10, not the most important thing for you to fix, right? Because shouldn't it be? And also, I'm not talking about, you guys heard my bio, right? I don't work 70 hours a week. I have 2 young girls. I go to the gym. I eat dinner with my family, right? I'm not talking about like workaholism. I'm not talking about stuff that doesn't make sense for your quality of life. I'm talking about, 9 to 5 reasonable stuff, reasonable actions and behavioral changes. All right. So continuing along, one more question, and then I'm gonna get to my stuff here. Some of you do not have your sales process formally articulated. That's okay, right? But you're probably executing some type of formalized sales process. And could you just think through that and commit to that on paper a little bit? What your current sales process is, right? And you might have multiple iterations of that, but can you think through that and commit that down to paper, what your current sales process is that you or your team is executing? Okay? First lesson, if you don't have one, let's get one, and I'll help you with that today. But if you have one, let's see what it's like. Now I got to simplify the heck out of what y'all do because I got to make, 50, 60, whatever, how many businesses work. Same concept here. But let me ask you if you've got something radically different than this. Right? We generate interest. That can be through marketing. Oftentimes it's through prospecting. We generate interest. We present, propose, demo. We work to close. When we don't close, we got to follow up, right? We generate interest. We present, propose, do a plant tour, demo, whatever that's like for you, the fulfillment. We close, and then we follow up. Anybody go, wow, no, you're way off? Or is that can you fit what you wrote down sort of into this paradigm? Is that fair for everybody?
I'll challenge that with, what about discovery?
What now?
What about discovery in that process?
Yeah, typically either here or here. What happens in your discovery?
You learn what their needs are.
Yeah. I would call that generate interest, right?
Perhaps.
Present? Okay. So maybe discovery? You would want a 5-step where I add discovery in there?
Yes,
that good?
otherwise you don't know who you're talking to.
Do what?
Otherwise you don't know who you're talking to and what they want.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to deviate? Okay. Tell a quick story about my wife, right? You ready? 5 years ago, we have a kid. It's SUV time. Neither of us needed an SUV. Now we have 2 daughters, so it's still SUV time. It's actually like a crossover and SUV, right? We both need one. So we were in the market for an SUV for the first time, and it was like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna buy? So I go to like Consumer Reports, and I very quickly narrow the search down to the Forester, whatever that Mazda is that's pictured. It's like the 7 or something, I don't know. And then whatever BMW, I think they've changed what they have now, but it's that BMW that's basically the size of a Forester. You guys got me, you know what I mean? And so those were the 3 options. It's my wife's car, so it's basically her decision, right? She goes to the BMW dealership and goes, it doesn't really, for what they're what the money that they're asking for this, it doesn't really feel that luxurious. Like, I don't think it's really worth. There's a lot that she didn't like about the BMW. So we were pretty quickly out of the BMW game. She drove the Subaru, and it was pretty good. She really liked it. So now it's time to check out the Mazda. And so here's a real quick story about the poor Mazda dealer that unfortunately encountered the Lime family. So we show up to the car lot, right? And there's basically like one car that we're looking at. Like there's like used like 10,000 miles on the car, and it's like we are here to test drive this car. If it works, we're gonna buy it. If she doesn't like it, we'll go back to the Subaru place and buy the Subaru, right? Pretty simple. Probably like a lot of you, I've got a pretty quick buy cycle, right? I'm pretty decisive, and I can buy things pretty quickly. I want that, I'm gonna buy it. Here we go, right? My wife, not so much. But it's her car, so it's her decision, right? So she's leading and I'm following. So we show up to the Mazda lot, right? And we're out by the cars, and like 3 different dudes from 3 different directions descend on us, right? You guys know what it's like buying a car? They're like descending on us. And the guy that gets there first, his name is Heinrich. I'll never forget that, right? Like Heinrich, that's an interesting name. Anyway, he shows up and asks a stupid question, like most salespeople do. Their first question is oftentimes stupid, right? Hey folks, how can I help you? Right? Now my wife and I had an agreement. This is Saturday during college football season, right? I'm like, look, we're gonna drive this car, and if you like it, we'll buy it, no problem. If you don't like it, we'll go buy the other one, but let's get this over with. Okay, got it, right? We had an agreement. And I wasn't even forcing her into anything. Like, she was like down with that agreement. So Heinrich shows up. Hey folks, how can I help you? What did my wife tell him? What do they always say? Just looking, right? Just looking, the classic retail answer to a bad sales question. Just looking. So he goes, okay, I'll be right over there. Just let me know if you need anything. So he walks away, and I'm like, honey, like, what happened? I don't know, I panicked. I got nervous. Panicked, right? I was like, well, like, why did you do that? I don't know. She was just like overtaken by panic. Now, I know that a lot of you, no one here sells cars, right? But the point is my wife was executing what turns out to be a 4-step buying system that most buyers use, most prospects use. And the first step, if I wanted to use soft language, I would say mislead, but they lie, right? Right out of the gate. How can I help you? We're just looking. She couldn't help it, right? It was a lie. Now, you guys are not in retail scenarios. You're not selling cars. But those of you who are doing outbound prospecting, right, especially cold calling, you get a prospect on the phone. What is their number one agenda item when they get a sales call? Is it to honestly evaluate, does this guy or gal have something for me? Can this guy or gal fix my problems? Can this guy or gal make my life better? Is this guy or gal worth evaluating? No, what's their real agenda? To get rid of you. How do they get rid of you? Yeah, any means possible. Any lie works. I'm getting ready to go into surgery. It's crazy. There was a nuclear holocaust. I just can't talk right now. The phones are going to go down. There's zombies coming. Doesn't matter, right? Anyone push back on that? Okay. So prospects start by misleading. Doesn't make them bad people, right? And we'll talk about why they're in that paradigm. But that's how they start, right? We're trying to generate interest. They mislead. Okay. Anyway, I get my wife composed, and I go, can we just drive the car? Yeah, so I go, hey guy, we want to drive this car. We get in the car. We're out on the road, right? He's asking her questions. She seems to be enjoying the test drive. And again, sorry salespeople, but what do all salespeople do at this stage? Like foam at the mouth, talking, features, benefits. Let me tell you all the great stuff about us. Let me tell you the bad stuff about Subaru, Forester. Let me tell you about our financing. Tell you about this, right? Fair? Makes sense? Talking. Every now and then, So sometime around the 70s, we learned psychologically that it's better for salespeople to ask questions than to talk. So even the worst salespeople will then occasionally ask questions, but they always ask really terrible surface level questions, technical, right? What do you drive now? You know, that's not a good question that's going to help me decide that I should buy your car. What's my wife doing through the whole experience? She's listening. She'll take it. Financing offers, brake systems, in-dash navigator, XM radio, all this stuff. She'll take it. Now, why do prospects sit there and they let us do that kind of stuff? Right? What is it about what we know? It's valuable to them, isn't it? You know why you got to do demos for people who never intended to buy from you? Because that demo is valuable to them. You know stuff that they want to know, right? Or they want what you know to use it against the current vendor, the incumbent vendor, or your competition. What your salespeople know, what you guys know is valuable. It's valuable, and they want it. They want it. So the second step is thievery, right? Steal. Y'all have been there. Anyone write proposals? You write a proposal, send it out. Hey, could you change up the proposal? Sure, we send it out. Hey, could you change up the proposal? Yeah, sure, send it out. Hey, could you deliver stuff by Thursday? Do you have connections to Germany? You know, whatever your questions are when they're making these, you know, salespeople think they're buying signals, right? But the prospects are just stealing. So you send one proposal, two proposals, three proposals, answer 17 questions. The next proposal, you know what, Rob? We'll talk about it next quarter. It's just not going to happen. Right? And they'll buy, what the? Right? So I'm so confused. I answered all your questions. Well, they didn't really want to buy. They just wanted the information. Right? So my wife has taken this guy through step 2 of the 4-step process, which is to take what he knows and to take it for free. Right? It doesn't cost anything. There's no commitments. Okay? So anyway, we get back to the lot. We get out of the car. He tries to make some terrible salesy closing move. So should we get the paperwork started? You know, something like that. You guys know what it's like, right? So what do you think? You ready to buy? Oh my God. If you guys are asking those questions, please stop. It drives me crazy. What does my wife say to him? Remember, she's the what would your prospect say in this moment? She's the typical prospect. Yeah, let's think about it. And again, I'm looking at her cross-eyed. I'm like, no. Like, we got football, right? What are you doing, right? And this is when we were building our house in the city, and we had like a really big commute to get. It was like totally inconvenient to go car shopping. Anyway, I'm like, think about it. Anyway, so he's like, okay, great. He takes her inside, gets a bunch of information, whatever, gets a manager in front of her, you know how they do, to try to get her closed, trying to close really hard. It doesn't work. She comes back. As soon as we get in our other car to go home, what does she tell me? Yeah, had a blind spot, didn't like it. Let's go to the Subaru dealership. Right? Heinrich gets to think about it. She tells me, no, like 3 minutes in, had a blind spot, right? Had a blind spot, we're not going to buy it. Let's go to the Subaru dealership, right? Also, though, what's the think about it sound like to Heinrich? It's like, we're going to think about it. I really liked it, right? It's pretty good. We'll probably know by next week. Third step is more misleading, more lying. This oftentimes, though, is all disguised as there's rosy language. It makes us feel good, right? Rob, really great demo. I've never met somebody with 78 years of experience in the industry. Oh my gosh, this is really good stuff. I don't see any reason why we probably couldn't, maybe not, probably would sometime do business Tuesday after never. Right? And I'm like, oh, I got one. Tuesday after never. Let me go look at my calendar and figure out when that is. I think I got one. Right? Step 3, lie. But they know. They know. They got to make it sound good. And why do they want it to sound good? They don't want to fight with you. They don't want your moves. If they tell you, oh, You know, we're looking at 19 vendors, but I like you best. What am I going to do? Ooh, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Prospect. You got my cell. You just let me know. Okay? Anytime. I'll do anything for you. Right? Now, what'd she tell vendor 17? We like you best. What'd she tell vendor 16? We like you best. We like you best. Right? Because now she gets to get out of there without a fight from me. Unfortunately, another behavior that bad salespeople do, bad salespeople do, is a prospect tells you no and what happens? You don't understand. Some kind of version of, you don't understand. Take it personal, start a fight, right? Think about the last time you told a salesperson no, what happened? Did they go quietly into the night? Did they say stuff like, John, I really appreciate the critical feedback. Walk me through, help me understand that. No, they didn't do that, right? Because that's consultative selling. They started a fight. So the lie gets them out of the fight, okay? So anyway, this is Saturday. Wednesday, I'm at work, my cell phone rings. Who is it? Yeah, Heinrich. We'll take Henry. That's close. We'll take Henry. Why is he calling me? Right? Why is he calling me? But I answer my cell phone, right? Because I'll get referred. I answer my cell phone. I pick up a lot of spam calls because I get referred to people out of the area code, and I never know who's calling me. So I'll pick it up if I can. So I pick it up. Hey, it's Rob. Hey, Rob, it's Heinrich. Hey, Heinrich, why you call me? Well, it's the craziest thing. You know, your wife said she's going to think about it. She's probably going to come back and buy the car that we looked at. And I called her, and I texted her, and I emailed her, and I drove by your house at 2 a.m. on Thursday morning, and I sent a carrier pigeon, right? I tapped your phones, and I just haven't heard back from her. It's the craziest thing. And I go, well, I'll tell you what, my man, you want the good news or the bad news? He said, I'm an optimist. I'll take the good news. I said, great. She's got a 4-step buying process, like all prospects have. And you're in step 4. Wow, awesome. Step 4. Almost there. But what's the bad news? I go, good question. You're never going to talk to her again. She's hiding. It's over. She drives a Forester now. So, really? Yeah, sorry, man. Should have asked some better questions. I have empathy for you. I would have told you the truth, but you asked all these terrible questions. I'm not going to work that hard. I'm checking football scores, right? I'm not going to work that hard. Ask me better questions. Ask her better questions. It's her car. It's also a little insulting when you keep trying to talk to me when it's my wife making the decision, right? So, 4-step buying process. They hide in the end. Okay. Makes sense? Any light bulbs? Anyone raging on the inside saying, this is crap, Rob, I don't buy this, this isn't true? Okay, any questions? Anything? All right, now I want to go back to our process. Now some of you, as we learn, maybe you're doing a little bit better than this 4-step, but most sales organizations, most salespeople are doing this process. Generate interest, present, propose, demonstrate, close, follow up. Okay, this is how prospects buy from us. Here's the problem. We think it's our system. We think it's our system and it's theirs. Generate interest, lie about interest. Present, propose to demonstrate, steal information. Close, lie about closing. But make them feel good that they're going to close. Follow up, hide. Right? We think it's our system. And it's not, it's theirs. That's what's the most insulting part of it. They lie and they hide. Okay? Now, your prospects are not bad people. My prospects are not bad people. Okay? They are not bad people. But prospects lie all the time. Okay? Prospects lie all the time. It's maybe one of those ones that you write down, because this is a good one, you know. Prospects freaking lie all the time. They're not bad people. They're not bad people. So why is this happening to us? Why is this happening to us? Now, don't think about your salespeople. Think about salespeople that you've interacted with in your life. Okay? Think about your collection of experience with salespeople as a consumer. And think of some adjectives and some adverbs, right? Oh, weird. How did I predict the future? What you guys were going to say? How's my word cloud so accurate as to your all's feelings about salespeople? Right? If I ask the question 100 times in front of rooms just like this, you always get the same answer: sleazy, slimy, liar, selfish, only care about themselves, only care about their commissions. Okay? I'm not saying salespeople that are in front of me now and on Zoom, I'm not saying this is you. I'm not saying you're slimy, sleazy. You only care about yourself. My experience with salespeople is the opposite. I freaking love my job. Entrepreneurs, sales-focused entrepreneurs, salespeople, they're some of the greatest people. They're not like this, right? But it doesn't matter. This is what your prospects believe. This is their paradigm. This is their paradigm, okay? This isn't you, and it's not your fault that this is their paradigm, but you do have to take responsibility for it. We do have to take responsibility for it. It's costing us money. Your salespeople, you show up in good faith. Hey, Mr. Prospect, how can I help you? Rob, give me a proposal. Would love to give you a proposal. Right? Email you a proposal. Right? Hey, Rob, can you do any better on the price? Would love to do better on the price. Cut his price 3%. Hey, Rob, can you adjust the proposal? Would love to adjust the proposal, right? You all are in good faith. Problem is the prospects aren't. You guys Titans fans, right? I'm from Indianapolis. I'm a Colts fan, right? But you guys are Titans fans, right? You guys got a good team. Football's a game of bad faith, right? They're trying to trick each other. That's the point. It's a game. The offense is in bad faith with the defense. Why were the Titans so good this year? Because that freaking play action, because you got the best running back in the league, and then a quarterback that could deliver the ball downfield occasionally when he needed to, right? Those of you who aren't football people, play action is when the quarterback fakes a handoff. People on defense suck up and think that there's a running play. The receivers get behind the defenders, and you got a good, accurate quarterback delivers the ball downfield, right? Could you imagine if Ryan Tannehill was in good faith and the Colts defense was in bad faith? And he was like, hey, you guys, just want you to know we're going on 2, and I'm going to pretend to hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, but he's not really going to get the ball. I just want you guys to know that in advance, right? And then we're in bad faith, so Darius Leonard is going to go, cool, man, thanks for sharing. I will not blitz. I will not blitz on this play. And then Tannehill does what he says. Darius Leonard comes around the end and kills him, right? And that's what's happening. Now, I don't suggest that we lie or mislead, that we do those kinds of things, but your prospects are in bad faith. And it doesn't mean that they don't like you, relationship sellers, and it doesn't mean that they don't respect you. It's just how they buy, because it's good for them. It's good for them. It works for them. It's great for them. And they get to evade pressure that way. Another thing about terrible salespeople is they put pressure on prospects, and it's awful. Tell me yes. How do I get you to tell me yes? When do you want to do it? How do I get you? What a terrible life, right? They're just trying to protect themselves from that. And so because of that, they follow this 4-step process, and we're in bad faith. So why salespeople fail? Point number 1. They treat the prospect-salesperson relationship like any other social relationship, right? You cannot treat the prospect-salesperson relationship like you treat your relationship with your parents, your spouses, the barista at Starbucks, your friends in EO. It's different because they are in bad faith. They show up in bad faith. They mislead, right? My mother's a retired school teacher. She's 65. She's like, all she does now is hang out with her grandkids and sew. She's that lady that made like 1 million, before masks went into mask manufacturing, she made like 1 million masks and would donate them to like homeless charities and stuff. You got her pictured? She's the lady that on MSNBC or Fox or CNN or whatever you watch when they were talking about suburban housewives or women voters. She wasn't a housewife, but women voters. That's her. You got her pictured, right? Nicest woman in the world, never told a lie to anybody. She bought a Honda, not everything's car sales, and I don't have any car clients, but it's just a paradigm we can talk about. She bought a Honda not too long ago, made me come with her because she thinks that you can negotiate cars these days, which you really can't. There's not a lot of margin in them. Anyway, I come with her, and she shows up and she sees the price tag and she goes, "Ooh, that's really good. This is a lot cheaper than the Outback. That's really good. I think I like this. I could afford this." The guy comes up, "You're gonna have to knock like at least $3,000 off before we even talk." Right? I said, "Mom, you lied to him." She said, "Robbie, he's a sales guy. It doesn't count." Doesn't count. You know, it's the only verse that's in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. I don't care what religion you are, but it's in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. You can lie to salespeople and still go to heaven. Right? Torah and Quran as well, whatever faith you do. Right? What's the book, the Buddhist book, the Pali Canon? It's in there too, I promise you. I haven't read it all, but it's in there. So why salespeople fail? Now let me give you some high level what you're supposed to do about this. What you're supposed to do about this. So this paradigm, some of y'all might have known this and have learned nothing the last 30 minutes, but those of you who just got sort of like the sheet over your eyes of this paradigm, how people buy you, this paradigm should permeate everything that you do. Okay? Understanding that prospects show up in bad faith, understanding that they want what you have because it's valuable and they would prefer not to commit for it, understanding that they will mislead you at the end to get you emotionally involved. All of these things should permeate everything that you do. Okay? Everything that you do in your sales organization. Anyone read that Robert Cialdini, 7 Principles of Influence? Anyone read that book? The best one in there from selling, even if you don't read the whole book, read the part about commitment and consistency. Commitment and consistency. Right? Let me give you an example. So, if I showed up, can I pick on you? Sure. So, if I showed up at a Starbucks next Tuesday at 8 o'clock, and we never talked before, but I had your cell phone number, we made friends a little bit, but we didn't make the date. And I showed up and I texted you, I said, "Where the hell are you?" What would you do? Tell you where I am. Yeah. You go, what do you mean, where am I? "I'm at Starbucks. I thought we were going to Starbucks." What would you do? Look at me like I'm crazy, right? Because I am crazy. We didn't make an agreement to meet at Starbucks, did we? Now, what if we made an agreement to meet at Starbucks at Tuesday at 8? Okay? So we made the agreement. I show up at Tuesday at 8 and you're not there. You forgot. It's 8:05. I text you. What do? You apologize, and then what do? You run like hell to Starbucks, don't you? Why? Because I told you I would be there. Yeah. Because it's your word, right? And we want to stay consistent with our word. Okay? You know, it's funny, that's just the social construct. Keeping your word is just a social construct. Influence. Cialdini is like C-H-A-D. Like if you put Robert C-H-A-D in Amazon, it'll bring up Cialdini. He's also got, what's the other one? Anyway, this is my favorite salesman. Anyway, you doing what you agreed to do, all that it is a social construct. There's no reason why we keep our word to each other other than the social construct of I don't want to be an asshole. Sorry. Oh, I'm still on pace, right? So anyway, commitment and consistency is getting prospects on the record. Getting prospects on the record. And despite this lie, steal, lie, hide paradigm, people really try very hard, deeply, to stay consistent with their word. They do, okay? So let's stop assuming that we're in good faith and we don't need them on the record. Get them on the record. Hey, Mr. Prospect, would love to send you a proposal. Let's pretend that I do and you love it. What happens then? Right? Those of you who are getting no showing. Hey, Mr. Prospect, Tuesday at 2:30, great. I'll send you a Zoom link, send you the calendar invite. Is there anything that could prevent you from showing up? Do you anticipate anything could happen between now and then? Right? No, Rob, I really don't think so. Okay. What do you want me to do if you don't show up? What would you like me to do then? Right? You'll get two things. I will show up. I'm showing up. Or, text me. It will be because something blew up. Or if they're in bad faith, they'll say, you know what, it's really not that important to me. I'm not going to show up. Which is fine. Get them off your calendar and find something better to do. Right? Harness the power of commitment and consistency. Salespeople are terrified. It's called equal business stature. Salespeople think there is the almighty prospect, and there is the lowly salesperson, and I take orders, right? And we are horrified to push back and call people out, right? I mean, that little role play that I did with myself about, hey, what do you want me to do if you don't show up? That's a little gutsy, right? That's equal business stature. You can't be a wimp and do that, okay? Also, define your tolerances. Define your tolerances. Let me give you a couple examples. If you send proposals, no more proposals over email. Okay? You don't have to take me literally. If you're like, Rob, we send proposals over email and we close 98% of them. Okay, then keep doing it. But if you send proposals over email and get ghosted, stop doing it. Don't tolerate it. Give it up. Right? If prospect wants to ask me 100 questions over email and then they end up stealing my information and either doing it in-house or doing it with a competitor, stop answering so many questions over email. Right? Tolerate less. Use that paradigm to set up some things that you're no longer willing to tolerate. Follow a better sales process, which we'll get to in depth a little bit later. And then lastly, get more referrals. You know why? You don't have to sell any differently, and this problem will go away if you get referrals. Why? Referrals show up in good faith. Right? Hey, Rob, heard a lot of good things about you. I know that you made this hire for Mark, and he is crushing it. I know you made this sales hire for Mark, and he's really doing well. When you make a sales hire, I heard a lot of great things about you. That's how referrals show up. Heard you guys do really good work, right? They're ready to talk about their problems. There's no gamesmanship in referrals. So that's it. You guys good with this? I'm going to hit the next topic. We good in chat and everything? Okay. Anyone made their money yet? Not yet? Keep going? Okay. Let's go to breakout rooms again for this question, and we'll take 3 minutes with each other. And I would like to know what you believe is the makeup of a great salesperson. What do you think is a great salesperson? When you look at a high-performing, high-achieving salesperson, why is it? What are the attributes? Question make enough sense? You guys good? Cool. Talk to your friends. We'll take about 3 minutes. We'll go to breakout rooms, and we'll be back. Okay, can we close down the breakout rooms and give everybody the 30-second warning here? 30-second warning. You ready with the mic? Yeah. We're going to go around a little bit here. Okay, you guys, I know it's not long enough. I know it's not enough time for everybody to talk and share all their ideas. But for the sake of time, let's go. All right, we got microphone, Marla roaming around. Anyone want to start, or should I just start pointing at people? We'll get to you next. Thanks. I think she said.
Heidi Anderson with Marcel Gilboa Interior Design. My goal is always to form a relationship and to really understand the person and get to know them and have fun with them.
Have what?
Have fun with them and just have a conversation, and then it turns into business.
Okay. Do you want to go?
Yeah, in my opinion, like a great salesperson to make up is someone who has a great work ethic, someone with a great attitude, and someone who's coachable. So I always look for those three qualities.
Coachable. Love it. Okay, we were over here somewhere. Someone was wanting to talk. Sorry, she wants to give you the microphone because everybody on Zoom can't leave them out.
I was saying that a good salesperson is competitive, has a short-term memory.
What's short-term memory? Why is that?
Sure, those prospects that are lying to you, you can identify that quickly, move on to the next one, and be worried about the next prospect in front of you.
Yeah, I'll call it recovering from rejection, but I love it. That's a good way to articulate it.
Kraft Hayes.
Someone else? Do one more, and then if anyone, we got chat after this.
Hi, with Adams Keegan. I was same thing, kind of what you just said, but comfortable with failure, right?
Comfortable with failure.
Yeah, and I'll steal my partner Brian's the ability to actually listen.
Okay,
To the prospect.
I love a lot of this stuff that's coming out because we're also getting to competencies and traits that you don't necessarily need in other people in the company, right? Like, I guess being comfortable with failure is a good trait. Salespeople have to have it no matter what. I don't know that I need my HR director to be comfortable with failure necessarily, though. Yeah, chat.
We have quite a few, so I'll just read two.
Excellent.
Sunny Clark says, likable, honest, relatable, ability to build rapport, no BS, get to the point. Lee Faribault says, high energy, consistent, understands the value prop, can educate prospects, likable, curious, ask great questions. And then I'll just share, Eric Jackson says, a great salesperson quickly gets to the no. Most prospects aren't going to do business with you, so find that no quickly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Who said that?
Eric Jackson.
Eric Jackson? I love it. Eric, if you were here, you're coming on stage. That's a hell of an insight. I love it, right? Most salespeople, horrified of no's. We got these big fat pipelines full of nothing, right? And Eric says, I'm good with no's. The faster I get to a no, the faster I'm going to get to a yes, and the more time that I have to prospect more people, right? You guys would not believe how many no's I got this year, right? I'm not good at selling. My clients that are excellent are not good at selling because they don't get no's. They're good because they're comfortable with it. Love it. Anything else on chat? Sorry. I got carried away. Eric got me so excited.
I did like this. Mike Rustacy said, a burning desire to solve clients' real problems.
I love it.
There's a lot here.
You want to keep going? Give us two more.
Sure. Kristen says, confidence is key. Kevin says, discipline to focus on high-value opportunities. Stop chasing maybes.
Got it. Love it. Excellent. You guys good? Some good stuff. Oh, one more. We got one. Let's do another live one. talk about Michael Jordan, who I hate, by the way, but he's still great, isn't he? He's like the greatest of all time.
I
Hate
think in
Bill
a limited
Belichick, too.
market, being persistent and getting those no's to yeses as well, though.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, I'm
if
with you.
You know what I'm saying? Like if we work in a limited market where you have, limited referral sources, being persistent to get those no's to eventually get to a yes.
Yeah. Not giving up, that kind of stuff. Good. Okay, you guys, let's talk about Michael Jordan real quick. Although now that he made his run with the Lakers, I'm sort of like buying into the argument that LeBron James might be the greatest basketball player of all time. But for the longest time, Michael Jordan was undisputedly the greatest basketball player of all time. At least in sort of the modern era. It's hard to compare him to guys like Wilt and that kind of stuff. And even people who are, and I won't talk about basketball for that long, so if you're not into basketball or the NBA, don't worry, I'm about to get past it. But even people that aren't into basketball or into the NBA knows who Michael Jordan is, know why they know him. It's not because he's nice, right? It's not because he's a good owner, right? There's a lot of bad stuff about this guy. Greatest basketball player of all time. Here's why there's an analog, Michael Jordan salespeople. Was Michael Jordan ever the best shooter on his team? No. Was he the best shooter in the era? No. If you look at his career stats, he was clutch, but wasn't that accurate of a shooter. I'm not saying he was inaccurate, but compared being the greatest of all time, he's not Steph Curry, he's not Larry Bird, he's not guys like that. Was Michael Jordan the best rebounder on his team? Never. Was he the best rebounder in the league? No. You think of Dennis Rodman, you think of guys like Charles Barkley. Was he the best ball handler on his team? No, although he was good, right? Why was Michael Jordan the greatest ball player of all time? Yeah, why did he win though? Iron will. It's his will. It's his grit, right? God gave him, or whatever you believe. I don't mean to get religious here. The DNA that he had, he's gifted, but he's not the most physically gifted player of the era. Okay? He was not the most technically capable player of the era. Freaking iron will. It was his iron will that did it. And everything else bled from that. Now, some of you guys, when we talked about what makes a great salesperson, what makes a great salesperson, you gave me some will stuff. A lot of us talked about the technical competencies of selling, though, relationship building, getting to yes, asking questions, that kind of stuff. Those are technical competencies. So I would propose to you this. Technical competencies are okay, but we missed a lot of stuff. We missed a lot of stuff, and let's cover that next. So if I break all the sales there's about 26, 27 sales competencies that are predictive of sales success. You give me a salesperson with these competencies, and I will show you a winner. I don't care if they have industry experience. I don't care if they have market knowledge. I don't care if they came from Mars and they have no network. You give me this player, and I will show you success, right? Are these competencies, and there's three buckets. There's technical competencies. There's the hidden weaknesses, or reversed are the sales strengths, and then there's the will and the grit bucket. Now I put this on a pyramid because we are in descending order from most important. So will and grit is more important than the weaknesses or strengths, which is more important than the technical competencies. Okay? They're also in order of coachability and trainability, right? One thing about building a salesperson that can build relationships, close deals, ask great questions, I'll teach you how to do that. That's stuff you can learn, right? Grit is desire, okay? Grit is do you get out of bed, and how badly do you want to succeed? Desire. Michael Jordan, desire. Now, y'all are thinking about yourselves or thinking about your salespeople, and you go, that's not our problem. It's not that we don't want to be successful. Here's the thing, most salespeople want to succeed, or they wouldn't be in sales. There's unsuccessful salespeople really don't make a lot of money, and there's easier ways to not make a lot of money, right? with less rejection, because life isn't all about money, but there's a lot of easier ways, a lot of easier livings to make. So I don't give you too much credit for desire, but the most important competency, the most important finding in any sales position, salesperson, sales leadership, commitment. Now let me define commitment. I defined commitment a little bit earlier when I asked you all about your commitment to get better at, to improve the sales organization. Commitment, a willingness to do whatever it takes, no matter what, to succeed. Okay? A willingness to do whatever it takes, no matter what, to succeed. Now, don't say it out loud, but put all your salespeople, or if you're a salesperson, put yourself on a graph. On one side is a willingness to do no matter what to succeed. A willingness to do no matter what it takes to succeed. And on the other side is I never met an excuse that I didn't like. Right? And where do you fall on that continuum? So most salespeople, frankly, are pretty comfortable with a lot of excuses. It does not make you a bad person. If you don't have a lot of commitment in sales, it does not make you a bad person. I'm not saying you're a bad father or a bad mother. I'm just saying if you want to succeed in sales, you better fix it. Right? You got to have commitment. Without commitment, we have nothing. Because the problem is if you take away this will and grit section of the pyramid, right? I got nothing. If I have a non-committed salesperson, I can't fix him or her. I can't coach him or her. He or she is not going to prospect. They're not going to learn. They're not going to fight. They're not going to do all the stuff that I need them to do, right? So desire, commitment. Third thing, responsibility. Taking responsibility. We all have had negative sales outcomes. It's why I have already forgot his name on chat, why I went so nuts, because he goes, someone who can get no's really quickly. I love it. We all get negative outcomes, right? Elite level salespeople, they take an outcome, and outcomes come for an aggregate of reasons, right? There's probably 10 reasons I lost that deal. But what do elite level salespeople care about? What reasons do they care about? The reasons that I had to do with, right? What did I do to lose that deal? And what can I do differently next time? Because depends on the industry that you're in, there's only about 10 scenarios you can get in when you're selling. There's only about 10 different scenarios you can get in, right? And I interview a lot of salespeople. Rob, I have 20 years of experience. Come to find out, no, you don't. You got 1 year of experience, you just repeat it 20 times. You don't take responsibility for negative outcomes. So desire, commitment, responsibility. People who can take responsibility can get better. Motivation too, okay? Let me give you guys a trick. Sales leaders, if you got salespeople that report to you, motivation can wane, right? Desire tends to be what it is. Commitment tends to be what it is. Unless if there's like a crazy personal situation going on. You got a high desire, high commitment salesperson, chances are they get out of bed every day, high desire, high commitment, right? Motivation though, so if you have people in your organization not just selling with low motivation or waning motivation, let me give you a trick. The number one predictor or fixer of motivation is goal correlation, right? Show me an unmotivated salesperson, and I'll show you a salesperson that does not have important goals, has not set goals, do not care about their goals, are not oriented towards their goals. Make sense? Okay, so that's will. We'll probably do this next bucket, and then we'll break, and we'll come back to this same slide just because I want to stay on time. So that's will. Desire, commitment, responsibility, motivation. Now let's talk about the 5 hidden weaknesses of salespeople. And we heard 1 or 2 of these come out, but we didn't hear all 5, and I'm not surprised. Now the 5 hidden weaknesses, right? This could be a money-making moment, right? This oftentimes is the money-making moment. People who suffer from the weaknesses are absolutely crippled in their ability to execute on a sales call. You guys got any salespeople who you see them in the office and you see them in role play, see them in scenarios, and you go, man, why the heck isn't he better out on the street in front of his prospects? Think about these weaknesses. Number one, need for approval. Need for approval. Human beings are social animals. We're actually primates. We live in complicated societies. It makes sense for us to get along, regardless of what you see on the news. For the most part, we all get along, right? Turn off the TV, go out on the street, you'll see most people following the rules, being nice to each other, holding doors open, right? We get along. Need for approval is overwhelmingly a good thing in society, right? It's best that you all get along with me. It's best that you like me, I like you. The AV people, it's good that we're polite to each other. We have a good relationship. Me and Marla, it's good. Front desk person, all those things. My 4-hour drive home, I'll signal when I'm changing lanes, right? So it's not do you have need for approval, it's does it show up on a sales call, okay? Back to my example where we were post-selling an appointment. So the prospect says, yeah, Rob, let's do an appointment Tuesday at 2:30. I go, perfect. Anything keep you from showing up that you can think of, right? No, I don't think so. What do you want me to do if you don't show up? Now, that's not a really dramatic situation, but in that moment, I'm on equal business stature. I have to care not so much what this guy thinks about me and more that I got a big problem. I switched the flip chart. That I got a big problem that's costing me money where I'm getting ghosted on second appointments, right? I have to care more about this problem that's costing me money and the way to execute out of that problem than I have to care about in that moment of being approved of by this prospect, right? If you have a salesperson who won't prospect or stinks at prospecting, do they have a need for approval? Do they have a need to be liked? Do they put being liked by their prospects ahead of what they need to be doing on a regular basis, on a daily basis? Okay? Can you ask tough and challenging questions, right? Elite level selling, consultative selling is changing prospects' paradigms, changing what they think, changing what they believe. Oh, you're that company that I don't really need, right? Well, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Do you have any of these problems? Well, you know what? That one kind of is an issue. Kind of an issue or like a big issue, right? How much is it costing you? How long has it been a problem, right? Asking difficult questions that sometimes they'll fight you on. And you can't have need for approval if you're going to do that. So need for approval. Putting your need to be liked in front of your need to execute. You need to ask great questions. Number 2 is emotional involvement. Now, please don't, emotional involvement does not mean that you have salespeople who go into the corner and cry when they lose deals. Well, you might have those people, but that's not what it means. It doesn't mean I'm overly angry or I'm overly sad or I'm crying, right? It doesn't mean those things. It means when we go on break, y'all are going to go to the bathroom, you're going to get some water, you're going to have some conversations with each other, right? You're going to be very calm and relaxed. It's going to be an easy conversation where your ideas flow freely, where you ask questions, where you're genuinely curious. It's an easy conversation to have. You have no emotional involvement in that conversation. Things aren't sped up, right? You ever almost been in a wreck on the ice? You're things speed up, things slow down, you're emotionally involved because you're scared, right? The conversations you're going to have in the hallway aren't those kinds of conversations. But so often, in front of prospects, those conversations feel less like these hallway conversations we're about to have and more like that moment when you're on the ice and you're sliding out of control, right? I feel pressure, right? I feel pressure. Also, the flip side, there could be negative emotional involvement. Here's what positive emotional involvement sounds like. Back with my wife telling Heinrich he's got a chance. You got a chance. Great, got one. In that moment, he was so excited. He stunk anyway, but let's pretend he knew how to sell. He was so excited, he didn't have control of his faculties. He could not ask great questions. He should have said, great. When you say, I got a great chance, help me understand what that means. Well, we like the car. It doesn't sound like you like it too much, though. Well, it's pretty good. Are you sure? I feel like there's something you want to tell me you're not quite telling me. Heinrich has a blind spot. I hate it, right? He couldn't do it. He was emotionally involved. Even if he had those abilities to execute selling in that way, he wasn't going to do it because he was emotionally involved. Number 3 is bicycle. Now, why do I care? Bicycle is how y'all make personal buying decisions in your personal life and how your salespeople do it. Why do I care about how you make buying decisions? Anyone guess? Why the heck do I care how you make buying decisions? Huh? Right. How long it takes you to make a decision? How many times you go to the store or go online to look at something? How many competitors you invite in to your buying process? What role money plays? Okay? Will you go find money when you theoretically have no money available? If you have $1,000 in the bank and you need to spend $8,000, will you find $7,000? Most people will not, right? So take my mother. It took her like 2 years to buy that Honda. She test drove it 87 times, thought about it for 400 nights straight. You throw my mother in a sales role with you guys, what's going to happen? She's going to get to the end, closing time, and the prospect's going to go, you know what, Sharon, I usually like to think about things for about 400 days. And she's going to go, you know what, I do too, sounds good. Call you in 2022. Hopefully we won't be wearing masks by then, right? My mother's going to say, that's okay, because that's how I buy, right? Beware of salespeople who go, well, isn't that pushy? Isn't that pressure? I hear that every now and then, and I am not pushy, and I'm not pressure, and I don't teach it, and I don't preach it, right? But I get salespeople all the time that go, Rob, that seems pushy. And I'm like, it's not pushy. We're just getting somebody to make a decision in an amount of time that makes sense. And you're uncomfortable with that. Because you learned as a child, money is scarce. And you should think about things for 3 months before you spend $2,000, right? We're just getting your prospect to make decisions on a timeline that makes sense, right? It takes CEOs about 30 minutes if they decide if they want to buy me or not. You know, it doesn't take 3 months. Y'all make decisions, right? Y'all have good margins, you make some money, and you make fast decisions. And I'm pretty compelling in the first meeting, right? I'm not perfect. A lot of people tell me no. But they either have the problem, it's impactful, they want to fix it, they think I can help, or they don't, right? And if they go, you know what, I got to think about it. I go, no, you don't. Just tell me no. You know? You don't. Just tell me no. It's okay. No problem. Number 4 is money weakness. Are you all from the South or the Midwest, or most of y'all transplants? South? I don't know how it is in the South. Probably the same as in the Midwest. In the Midwest, what's the rule about money? Talking to your neighbors about money. You don't. It's so rude, isn't it? It's so rude. I still have a dent on the back of my head. You guys remember in the 90s when Burger King came out with those really crispy fries? Here's why I remember that. They were like really crispy. One of my buddy's dads was a chemical engineer. We were like in freshman year. Chemical engineer. And he was like part of that. And so he's driving like a sports car, a Maserati or something, right? And I'm like, Randy. I'm a freshman, right? I'm like, that's badass because my parents didn't make any money, right? My dad's always trying to keep a car together in the garage on the weekends. I'm like, Randy, that's badass. How much did you pay for that? Right? And I think I still have the dent in my skull, and I can remember I must have been on my dad's left side because it was the wedding ring that you wear on the left hand, right, that smashed me in the back of the head. Because you don't ask other people how much their stuff costs. That is freaking impolite. There's nothing more impolite, right? And so, you grow up your whole life, and your mother says, don't ever ask people about what stuff costs. Don't ever talk about money. Don't ask people how much they make. Don't ever ask them if that's a lot of money to them, right? And then you get a sales job. You got to go, hey, Mr. Prospect, so how much would you, if you had to guess, how much would you say that problem is costing you in terms of money? Really? Now, if you extrapolate that over 3 years, is that a lot of money or a little bit of money to you? It's a lot of money. Really? What are you willing to do to fix it? Right? And most salespeople can't do it. They're terrified because they go, I know I got Rob Lime on my shoulder saying I should be asking a lot of questions about this guy's money situation. But I also have Mother telling me it's impolite. And Mother usually wins. Right? So weakness 4 is money weakness. Here's another thing, money tolerance. Write this down. And you guys, we're almost done. I know that you're ready to get up and stuff. I'm about ready to let you go. But write this down. What's an amount of money that you could leave today and spend The most money you could go spend today without having repercussions. You don't feel guilty. Your partner's not mad. Your spouse isn't mad. You don't have buyer's remorse. And this is like a frivolous thing. You're going to buy a pair of shoes or a laptop or something, right? What's an amount of money that you could spend? Write it down, seriously. Write it down. Commit to it. Please commit to it. Write it down. What's an amount of money you could spend? Okay? All right, that's it. You don't have to share that with anybody. If you wrote down $1,000 and you go out on the street and you have to ask people for $20,000, you might be in trouble. Because $1,000 is a lot of money to you, and you go ask a prospect for $20,000, and they go, that's a lot of money. And I go, I know, it is to me too. It's 20 times what I would spend. Oh my gosh, it is a lot of money. Right, so the second half of money weakness is your personal money concept can get in the way of your ability to sell, right? So if your salesperson you see your salesperson driving around in a crappy car, right? They can't get enough of Dave Ramsey and Clark Howard, and they want to freeze their credit cards and save all their money and not spend any money. Money weakness. Money weakness could be their problem. Okay. And then lastly, rejection proof. Rejection proof. So nobody likes being rejected. Rejection proofness isn't about, do you like being rejected? Do you not like being rejected? Rejection proof is your ability to recover. It's always a little bit of a gut punch, but some of us can take a punch to the gut and go, what's next? Right? And some salespeople, some of y'all, and some of the salespeople that report to y'all take a punch to the gut and they go, ooh, I got to take a day off. I can't prospect today. That's too much. I cannot do that again today or I'm going to die. Right? That's rejection proofness. Okay? So those are the hidden weaknesses. When we get back, we'll finish up on this. We'll talk about technical competencies. We'll talk about what to do about it. It's 9:35, so why don't we take our full 15 minutes and take until 10 till 10. Is that good, y'all? Is that good? Marla, you got anything to say? You guys good? All right, see you in a bit. back on? All right, you guys, want to get going? Because I promise we'll get out on time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot it. Okay, you guys, I had some folks come up and ask me some questions on break, which is great. And we'll get to those, but don't be afraid to interrupt me and shoot your hand up at any point in time. And we won't always get the microphone to you as quickly as we'd like to for our friends on Zoom. But don't be afraid. Remember, let's get out of here with something that can make us some money. Let's get out of here with some things that are actionable. Let's get out of here with things that will change our behavior, make us better salespeople, make us better managers, leaders, business owners, that kind of stuff. And your questions really help me with that, right? Help me get there. So, and I know it's like a goofy kind of sterile environment where it doesn't always, you don't feel comfortable like answering questions or asking questions or whatever, but it is what it is. I was reminded that I did not get to my six hidden weaknesses. The sixth one is sales-related belief system, right? You'll notice the 6 hidden weaknesses are all attitudinal. It's all stuff in the gray matter in between your ears. The sixth one is the sales-related belief system. There's about 45 beliefs that we assess for. I mean, there's more than that, but there's, a couple dozen, 3 dozen beliefs that we assess for that are really important, such as, and a lot of these weaknesses are cousins, right? Such as, like, if you think $1,000 is a lot of money, that's a self-limiting belief if you're going to go sell, okay? If you think you need to be liked to get the business, that's a self-limiting belief if you're going to succeed. If you think I can't ask for referrals, it's a self-limiting belief, right? If you think I have to present, I have to propose before I can ask any questions, before I can ask tough questions. If they ask me to propose, I have to propose. That's a self-limiting belief, right? So there you go, number 6. Now, we will, I was like, oh God, that's not my phone, is it? I don't care, I don't care if your phone goes off, but as long as it's not mine, right? You guys seen that? What was that? Was that this season of Curb Your Enthusiasm when they're in the theater? You guys watch Curb Your Enthusiasm? New season's out this year, and I'm like, how do they keep coming up with this stuff? It's unbelievable. It's like the funniest show ever. Technical competencies, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about technical competencies because you guys know to be a great salesperson, you should probably be a good hunter. You should sell value. You should sell consultatively. You should probably have a decent command of your CRM. You should know how to do social selling. You should follow a sales process, right? Typically, the value in this conversation comes from, you know what? We always think about selling in terms of technical competencies, but I never even considered if I lack commitment, technical competencies are useless, right? Technical competencies are useless. If I lack responsibility, if I don't take responsibility for when I lose business, I'm never going to get better. So we've been doing this for a while, so I'm going to jump off this, but let me just give you, this is like the dashboard of a pretty average salesperson, okay? I've done one thing that a lot of small businesses have done who have found a way to succeed through the pandemic is use their PPP war chest to make hires. Right? I've done a lot of sales hiring over the last year. I've done a lot of interviews, and this is just a very average salesperson. Assume this person works for you, right? And again, man, being average, not having great sales competencies does not make you a bad person, and I'm not taking shots at you, right? We're talking about how can we get better so we can improve. But this is just a really, really typical salesperson. This is a really average salesperson. Assume that this might be you. Assume that this person reports to you. Here's the good news. They're at least committed. Most fairly average salespeople have low commitment. It's a finding that we see. Red score instead of a green score. They're not really motivated. okay? Outlook, they don't really feel great about things right now, okay? Their need for approval impacts their ability to do what they need to do, right? They have emotional composure issues. They struggle to stay in the moment when they're selling. Their bicycle stinks, and it affects them out on the street. They struggle. They've got mother giving them bad ideas about money on their left shoulder, right? They struggle talking about money. So their aggregate sales DNA score, which is the 6 weaknesses, just a different name for it, is pretty low. When you compare them against the rest of the world, pretty marginal. Here's what I would tell the CEO of this salesperson to feel good about. So we have some opportunity to develop this person. They're coachable. They have high will. I'll give it a shot, man. I'll give it a chance, right? And I don't show you this to give you this dashboard and say, hey, you got to understand this by the time we get out of here today, because you don't have to. And if any of you ever choose to use this tool in the future, it'll be with me or someone like me, and we'll walk you through how to do it. I'm just saying this is what most salespeople look like. They got problems, right? They have competency problems. Doesn't make them bad people, doesn't make them bad dad, mother, husband, wife, any of that stuff. Just means they got problems that are keeping them from the results that they need to get. Okay? A couple stats. 55% of salespeople lack commitment. Okay, where do these numbers come from? Assessing a couple 100,000 salespeople, right? 65% of salespeople make a lot of excuses for their ineffectiveness. Now, I'll say one thing about excuse makers. Oftentimes, excuse makers really aren't bad people. They're really not, I was going to use a bad word, but I won't. I'm going to preserve my bad words in case if I get fired up anytime over the next hour. Oftentimes, I get into an organization and I get in front of excuse-making salespeople, and I can have conversations with them where they go, you know what? I guess I should take responsibility for that. That is on me. I didn't know that, right? A lot of times, they just don't know what they don't know. So tons of salespeople are out there making excuses. Oftentimes, they just don't know what they don't know for us to help them understand what they should take responsibility for, right? Rob, he wanted to look at other vendors. Okay? That's a belief that you can influence, right? They don't have to look at other vendors. That's a belief that you can influence. Rob, they thought it was too expensive. Okay. That's a belief you could influence, right? Rob, they said we'll put it off till next quarter. Okay. That's a decision you could have influenced, right? It's all this stuff that we think are tolerable excuses. Nah, they're not, right? There aren't a lot of excuses we should tolerate. All right, and 75% of salespeople have a non-supportive buy cycle. The funny thing about buy cycle, it's the easiest thing to fix in the world. All you have to do is go change the way that you buy things. But people don't do it. You know why? This is a belief system that we got from our parents when we were like 3. That is tough to overcome, right? I have got records in my head spinning of the way that my mother made buying decisions when I was a 4-year-old. And when I was a 4-year-old, how did I see the world? My parents know everything that they say is true, right? And I got records from when I was 4 that are influencing the way that I sell today, right? That's the easiest thing in the world to fix, but I rarely see salespeople want to make moves on that because they just cannot fight their mother off in their subconscious. And I'm not kidding. And 63% of salespeople need for approval prioritize the need to be liked. So why do salespeople fail? Big item number 2, they just lack the competencies that support success, okay? They just don't have the competencies. And most of us don't know what the competencies were. I tell you what, when I learned this stuff, I was like, oh my God, it's like a scientific evidence-based approach that makes so much sense, right? And then I've put it into play for the last couple of years, and I've helped a lot of my clients hire salespeople, and guess what? We grab a salesperson that tests elite, we put them in the role, and they succeed, and then we do it again, you know? It's like we now know what makes salespeople succeed, right? Didn't know that for the longest time. And some of you all had some pretty good stuff to share, but you would give me like 1 out of 26 competencies that we care about. Well, I'm really good at relationships. That's great, I love it. What about the other 25 competencies, right? I can ask tough questions. That's great. I love it. What about the other 23 competencies? Okay? So they lack the competencies that support sales success. So what can we do about it? If you're hiring salespeople, right, or you have a natural turnover or whatever, you could change your selection criteria to coincide with this new reality that you know about the competencies that are predictive of great sales success. Alter your selection criteria. Next time you hire a salesperson, bias the job search towards the competencies that are more important than the other ones, right? Like, I will take a salesperson, believe it or not, you guys, I will take a salesperson whose sales assessment tells me that they stink at closing. I'll take them all day. If they have desire, commitment, none of the weaknesses, I'll teach them how to close. That is easy stuff, right? I can't teach you to want to learn to close, to have goals that are supportive of success. I struggle teaching you that. I'll freaking teach you how to close and ask great questions all day long. That's easy stuff, right? And you guys could do it too. So alter selection criteria. This is also a little bit of a hiring point. Don't confuse experience with capabilities, okay? Rob, we're hiring a sales guy. I'm really excited about him. He has 10 years of software sales experience, and we're in the software game. I don't care, right? I don't care. Ryan Fitzpatrick's been in the NFL for like 84 years, and he's like the 45th best quarterback in the league, right? I don't care. I'm not really that cynical. I do care a little bit. That is somewhat meaningful. But I tell you what, if you get a job candidate in front of me that has 10 years of experience but low commitment, get them out of here. Not interested. Not interested. And I would argue that most of you do not have safety measures in place to figure out if people have high levels of commitment. It's a tough thing to suss out through an interview, okay? And you all prioritize experience, because when you're making other hires outside of selling, experience gets you a lot, doesn't it? You can make a lot of great hires based off of experience alone, right? You see resumes, you're like, I don't even need to interview this person. Doesn't work in sales, does it? Okay. Coach up and develop the weaknesses, right? So those of you who are great sales coaches, who do sales coaching, who do sales training in your organization, please stop focusing on closing and asking the right question. Because if you do a role play where you help a salesperson figure out better questions that they should have asked in a certain scenario, okay? If they have need for approval, guess what happens in the real world? They don't freaking do it. They know the questions, but they don't do it because they can't. Because they go, oh, I should ask this question. We learned this in role play. But I just need to be like so much. Sounds good, Mr. Prospect. See you next Tuesday. Right? They won't do it. They can't do it. So any kind of coaching or training that you do, make it about the will competencies that we talked about, as well as the DNA, which is the 6 hidden weaknesses. Right? So a role play, a salesperson comes to you and says, boss, I'm struggling closing. I got a bunch of stuff in my pipeline. None of it'll close, right? And you go, great, how'd the last meeting end? And they say, well, they told me they're going to think about it. Great. What'd you say then? Nothing, I left. Right? Why'd you leave? I don't know. I thought it was reasonable to think it over. Right? Their problem isn't closing. Their problem is they thought it was reasonable to think it over. Right? That's like a belief system issue. It's a bicycle issue. So you're going to try to help this salesperson close better, but that ain't their problem. Right? That's not their problem. It's a symptom of the problem, but it's not the real problem. So we'll stop blaming technical problems, and then also get them the attitude and belief system help, okay? One thing that we did not hear today on the problems list that may have come up, and I just didn't get to all the right people, is entrepreneurs. I hear this all the time. Entrepreneurs say, why can't my salespeople sell as well as I do? Right? I got 6 salespeople. I got 2 salespeople. I close twice as many business as my best person. Right? Why the heck is that happening? Well, your belief system isn't in the way. Right? Your belief system isn't in the way. They don't think like you do. They don't have the same brain that you do. You take it for granted, right? You have high levels of commitment, or else you wouldn't be an entrepreneur. You're a risk taker, You just assume everyone else is like you, right? Well, they're not. They're not. It's like if a 7-foot-tall guy tried to teach me how to dunk. Bro, you just dribble, go up and dunk it. And I try to dunk it, and he's like, what are you, an idiot? No, I'm 5'10". I don't have the same skills that you have, man. I'm 5'10". Which, by the way, is average, is not short. If you look at the stats, just want you guys to know. Not that I'm insecure about that, right? But just so you know. So that's some what to do about it. Okay. You guys good with this stuff? You guys good with this stuff? Do we have a microphone runner coming? Go ahead and ask, and we'll get the microphone to you here in a second. Go ahead and ask.
Like, what are some go-to questions we can talk to our salespeople with, like, that'll help them get the results that they're looking for with new customers?
Give me the scenario.
Okay, so let's say you're in the dealership, or I'm in men's clothing, women's clothing, and so someone walks in for the store the first time. You know, hey, how are you doing? You know, like, what do you say, like, when someone walks in your store for the first time?
Yeah. So we are in a retail scenario. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Good. It's called the concept is called pattern interrupt. This is great because this works for anybody that prospects. Okay? So you go to a car lot, and what do you expect them to say? What brought you in today? Nothing, just looking. Right? So whatever you ask has to be a jolt to the system. Right? Whatever you ask. Right? I don't care if it's, I had some retail people once where one of the girls who was quite successful would go, God, I love your shoes. Oh my God, thank you, right? Can you believe it? I got them at DSW, blah, blah, blah. Well, now we're in a conversation. Hey, you came in for a reason, right? It's called a pattern interrupt, right? I've got you in conversation. Now we're having a conversation. Now we've got social graces. Now we can start with the sales conversation, right? If you're making cold calls, pattern interrupt can sound like this. You answer the phone. Hey, it's Marla. Hey, Marla, Rob Lime. Let's pretend you don't know me. Hey, Rob. Should I be expecting this call? No, I got to tell you it's a sales call. You want to hang up now or give me the 15 seconds it takes for me to tell you why I called you? You can have the 15 seconds, and now I'm in. So however you want to disrupt somebody, because they're prepared. They've got a script, but the script only goes a move or two deep. So if you show up and you go, hey, what brought you in today? Right away, they'll go, I'm just looking. If you go, God, those shoes are great. Thank you. Can you believe it? I got them at DSW. Or the Nordstrom half-yearly sale. Oh, my God, right? So you're probably here for a reason. And also ask them a question like, you must be here for a reason. Ask them a question that's different that they haven't heard, right? Like no one ever says, hey, you're here for a reason. Something like that. One other thing that I was getting ready to say. Let me give you guys an example. Do you guys have Fresh Thyme here? It's like a high-end grocery store, like Whole Foods or something. The high-end grocery store, right? They got the best stuff. Anyway, Fresh Thyme is like a high-end grocery store. They've got this thing every month where it's round your bill up to the next dollar for charity, right? $10.55, round up to 11, give 45 cents to whatever charity, right? I was at Fresh Thyme once. They got $5 sushi roll Fridays, right? So you know where I go. Or Thursdays. You know where I go on Thursdays. So I was in there getting my sushi, and the guy in front of me is on his phone. Okay? The charity of the month was Disabled Homeless Veterans. Like, I don't really care where you're at politically or whatever, or what you think about war or the U.S. war policy. Like, that's like not a bad group, I think, to like help out like veterans that are now homeless, right? I'm in. I feel like veterans should have homes. I feel like everybody should have a home when it's cold outside, right? So I think we could all mostly agree to that, right? Hey, round up for Disabled Homeless Veterans. It was 13 cents. He's on his phone. What'd he say? Nope. Why? Did he not have 13 cents? Does he hate disabled homeless veterans? No, he just didn't hear the question, right? It was a sales question. What do you do with sales questions? You say no. Do you want to donate 13 cents to disabled homeless veterans? Nope. I want those people to freeze to death, right? It's like that's not what his point was. If she would have said, hey, sir, can I ask you an important question? Oh, sure. Would you round up 13 cents for this? You got it, no problem, right? Just that little, pay attention to me. It's called a pattern interrupt. Yeah. We got something on chat?
Yes. Matthew would like to know, how can you qualify will and grit during the interview process with a sales candidate? What qualifying questions can you ask?
So I would prefer that you, and this counts as pitching from the stage. So big red lights. Rob is trying to sell you stuff from the stage. That's not what I'm trying to do. The easiest way to do it is to pay this company to run pre-screen assessments for you, okay? So that's what my clients do. Now, since I'm not pitching from the stage, let me help you with that. I would ask them, depends on what you sell. I mean, you got to come up with questions where they're demonstrating commitment. I would also put them in very difficult role play scenarios on purpose, right? Where they have to demonstrate guts and commitment, right? Like I would make them do a prospecting role play scenario with me through the interview process where I'm tough and I'm putting the heat on them and I got to see how they react, right? That would be really meaningful to me. Because you get asked questions, give me a time in your life when you really overcame adversity and see what kind of stories that they have. But to me, I would prefer to suss that out in role play. You guys, please stop hiring sales candidates without making them role play. They will show you a lot. And they'll show up and you'll go, man, I got a great one. He's just got to get through role play and he's in. And you make him role play and he can't do it, right? Saved you 80 grand or whatever. Yeah.
You shared the typical buying process, lie, steal, lie, hide, and then showed how most of the selling processes we have match up to that process. Are you suggesting we should change our sales processes?
Correct.
To what?
Correct. Let's get there next.
Okay.
Let's get there next. Any more questions, you guys, before I move off this? Got another one? Great question. I'm going to skip over a couple things to get to what seems to be the most important.
And that was Alex Tolbert, and the first question was Chris Levy with Oak Hall.
And I'm Denzel Washington.
I thought I recognized you. You need to make more movies, man. I'm pissed that Denzel is not more prolific. He needs to make more movies.
So, question about attitude and belief and helping develop that for salespeople.
Yeah.
So, what are some things that you do to help develop the proper belief system?
Yeah.
Because as an entrepreneur, I have a certain belief. I don't think the salespeople are going to get to that level, or can they? Or if they do, what can we do to help them get there?
Yeah. So number one, what a great question, right? Number one, do you have a great relationship with them? And please don't just assume that you do. Really confident people tend to assume that everybody likes them, right? Please don't assume that you do. A great relationship isn't that they watch your kids for you. A great relationship is that they trust you. They believe that you want them to succeed for the sake of them succeeding, not because it makes your company money, right? That kind of stuff. So do you have a great relationship with them? If not, why not? Can you fix it? Okay? So make sure that that's there. And I really want you, it's really easy to go, yeah, I've got a pretty good relationship with them. Maybe assume that you don't and attack the exercise that way if you don't mind. So do you have a great relationship? Number two, do they have the intellectual willingness to understand that, hey, your belief system is what's causing you to fail here? Like, are they okay? Will they buy that, right? Are they coachable? Are they trainable? Do they take responsibility? Will they accept that? Like, hey, we're going to have a difficult conversation, coaching conversation. Are you open for it? Yeah, it's a growth conversation, right? I'm gonna get into your head. Are you okay with that? Sure. Right? And I can get you guys, I'm not prepared to do it today, but there's the list of the 46 most common sales self-limiting beliefs that I can maybe distribute to you. We could find a way to do that. And you could read a belief off that list that you believe is impacting your salesperson and go, what sounds like $1,000 is a lot of money to you. How do you feel about that? Oh, yeah, it is. You willing to accept that belief is preventing you from succeeding, right? never thought about that. Right? So it's really got to start with your belief system is preventing you from succeeding. What's the belief? But they got to buy it, and they got to be on board, and they got to be committed. Does that make some sense? Right? Okay, so we got the belief targeted. This makes me sound so new age, right? You guys got to remember, though, commitment, I will do whatever it takes to succeed. First time I heard this, I said, get out of here. I'm not doing that. That's so new age. It sounds like crap. I journal affirmations now every morning. Every morning. And I started journaling. What'd I do with that marker? Anyway, I started journaling and I went, whoop! So now, I don't know how it works. But the easiest way to change your belief system is you got to work on it yourself. And one way to do it is through a journal. I do journal and audio. I got about 15 things that I'm training myself to believe right now. And I do it through my journal, and I do it through audio reinforcement. So it's easy to teach people how to close. It's easy to teach people how to ask better questions. All that stuff's easy. Changing the gray matter in your brain, right, takes some repetition. Now, so you go, hey, how does journaling and audio sound to try to help you change this belief? Now, they'll say yes, and then they won't do it. It's really people, it's just a hard thing to buy into. What? I'm going to write in a little journal some beliefs, and my brain's going to change, and I'm going to become more successful. Yeah, that's actually how it works. People tend to not. So then you got to hold them accountable, right? So I got their buy-in. We've targeted the belief. Here's how we're going to fix it. Now expect them in your next coaching meeting to say, you know what, I journaled for like 2 days, and then I quit. I just ran out of time. You know? So now it's holding them accountable to the behavior that you agreed on. Does that make sense? And I wish, you guys, I wish there was a more direct, easier way. But when you're attacking belief systems that you got from your mother when you were 6, it just takes repetition. It takes repetition. All right, any other questions? We got the microphone. She's running.
Something to fill the dead space. I got nothing.
Tell a joke on your way.
Here we go.
Tell a knock-knock joke on your way next time.
Hi. I'm in the wellness services industry, and just the nature of our business is we do have, quite a few part-time employees, and that's always a challenge of, while they're wonderful people and hardworking, but just keeping them up to date with our culture and programs and specials, keeping them motivated and just really engaged or very goal-driven can be a challenge. I don't know if you have any insights on part-time peeps.
I do. So they might not necessarily have the right goals. They might not have goal orientation, right? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're just not that goal-driven, really.
Yeah.
And they've got 3 other jobs. They're a fitness instructor. They're this,
Yeah, so that's a tough one. So your best chance is, and this is crazy, like my best, most advanced clients who are like the best coaches that have the best relationships with their employees still screw this one up. But oftentimes they hand down a goal to their employees. Sales goal this year, $500,000, right? And then they're like, Rob, Carl doesn't seem to be motivated by his goals. And I'm like, what's his goal? I told him to sell $500,000. What's in it for him? Well, he makes a lot of money. It's like, yeah, but what does he care about? Is he money? Well, I guess I don't know. Like the correlation between your company goals and personal goals, and I know you said they might not have personal goals, but start with whatever goals you have for them, do they correlate to their personal goals, right? I want to do sales coaching conversations where them closing the deal is about paying off something for their kid or whatever, not what it gets me. I would be interested if, so everybody's like motivated by something or something differently. Is there like a personality paradigm that you tend to see? Is there like 8 different? Are they all very different? They're all different? Yeah. Give me an example of a goal that you wish that they had that they don't have. I asked them if it's like one personality paradigm times 8, and she says no, it's like 8 different people, and they all have multiple jobs, right? This is one of multiple jobs, and they're all doing their own thing. Give me an example of a goal that you wish that they had that they don't have.
Director of operations, so she really works with them.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, Pure Sweat Float Studio, Pure Sweat Sauna Studio. So, repeat what you were asking, Robin.
Give me an example of a goal that you wish that they had that they don't have.
To really come full circle with the experience, I think that they will want to educate them on the service, but we have multiple aspects. We have retail, we have experience, we have partnerships within the community, so they can rush through the experience and not hit all points, and then therefore they don't meet retail goals, or they can just be hyper-focused on one thing or the other, depending on where their passion lies.
Yeah. Are you in a situation where the way that you have to compensate people, you just have to deal with who you get? Or do you get your choice into who you can get?
We have a pretty selective hiring process, but because of the nature of the business, we have 4-hour blocks in the morning or the evening that are very busy, so they have these short, choppy moments in the studios. So
yeah, I would want to try to bias my hiring criteria towards people who are goal-oriented and find a way to mix that into the interview. Like I'm not getting it, you guys. So when my clients and I hire together, it's they take an assessment, they do a 15-minute phone screen, they do an interview with me and the CEO, and then they role play. You are not getting out of that second interview if you don't have goals clearly articulated that you could tell me. So you may bias who comes to work at your company based off of goals or goal orientation. Now, since you got people who you have today, and that's how it is, I would sit them all down individually, and it's. And you guys remember, you got to be the nurturing parent. It can't be, you're not doing what we expect you to do, and I need you to do it, right? It's, hey, here's what we expect. Here's what we're hoping that you would do. It doesn't seem like that's the case. I'm thinking that it might just not be important to you, and that's okay. That doesn't mean I'm angry or going to get fired. It's just, I've failed to find a way to make this important to you. And I'm wondering if we could figure out a way to do that together, right? Because it's about now, yeah, you're right. They could have some trash about being in sales. They could, but I think that kind of conversation could get you a start. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Let me know how that goes. Okay, you guys, I got to move on just because we haven't even done remote selling, and I got to get you out of here in less than an hour. Let's see. We have to skip over the sales leader, but let me show you one slide. Most sales managers stink. Okay, I showed you right? We've been cutting on salespeople all day. So now let's cut on all you all. Because if you're the entrepreneur and you don't have a sales manager, but you have salespeople, guess what? You're the sales manager. Guess what? Most sales managers stink. Guess what? You might stink at sales management. Okay? Again, doesn't make you a bad person. It's just a role that you play in your life, but you might stink at it. I promise you, most sales managers stink. And there's a whole bucket of competencies that we assess for sales managers too. And we could go through all that at a later date maybe because we're just running short on time. But consider the fact that maybe the leadership, if your salespeople aren't doing what they want to do, whose fault is it really? Right? I love the question. Talk about great paradigm. I know you guys aren't in my world, but talk about great paradigm shifting questions. I oftentimes get referred to entrepreneurs that want to complain about their sales. Why does my sales team stink? They want to complain about their sales team. Well, what are they doing that makes them stink? They're doing this. How long has that been going on? Blah, 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 blah. Let me ask you this. Sure, Rob, anything. Did you hire them that way or did you make them that way? Maybe a little bit of both. That's right, it's your fault. Sorry. Don't get mad at me, you guys. So oftentimes salespeople are just not put in a position to succeed by their leadership. Now I know EO tends to have a bias, like the fact that you all are an EO, you're probably a better leader than the average person out there on the street, right? Like there's kind of a bias that I'm probably in front of stronger leaders than we normally are. outside of EO events. So there you go. Now, let's talk about systems and processes, and then we're going to get to virtual selling, because this is again, I'm going to show you, each one of these slides could be your moment where you could find a way to make money out of this. So a lot of salespeople fail because they don't have a repeatable or scalable system in place that they just have to continue to follow, right? One of the reasons why I showed you the buyer-seller paradigm, lie, steal, lie, hide, to get this thing kicked off, but they don't have a repeatable, scalable system in place that, if followed, produces success. So let me show you what I would argue. It doesn't matter what business that you're in, here's a sales process that you should be following to some degree, okay? Now, all of these little bullet points under my pipeline stages, so these are pipeline stages: suspect, prospect, qualified, closable. All of these little bullets are sales milestones, okay? Sales milestones. Now, I don't even achieve every single sales milestones on all my sales calls, and I wrote the slide, so I know y'all are skipping some steps, right? Maybe because you didn't know what the steps should be. But, okay, so I get a new prospect. Maybe I cold called this prospect. This prospect tells me, yeah, Rob, my sales, we're just not closing as much business as we should. It's a big problem. It's impacting my business. Perfect. When do you want to talk about it? Tuesday at 3:30. Issue identified, appointment set. Now I got me a prospect. Okay? Now, one thing that I want to show you, when do we do value proposition, presentation, demo, proposal? Way the heck over here, right? Like 15 milestones later. Okay? So, whatever it is, whatever you sell, product or service, they have to need it, right? They have to need it. If I go back to, not my cussing tally, urgency, you lost them here. Not at the demo. Not at the demo. You lost them here. You lost them early. That's why I was freaking out when my friend on Zoom was like, lose deals early, lose deals fast, lose plenty of deals. Yes, lose them early. Because when you lose on urgency, you lost them when they were a prospect, right? Nobody should get out of your prospect stage in your pipeline unless they need you. They need it. It's not just nice to have. It's not just that we would like to have it, but we need it, right? And there's a compelling reason to buy it and buy it from you, right? If we don't fix this problem, Rob, it's going to cost us $30,000 next quarter, okay? Appreciate you sharing that. It's $30,000, a lot of money. Hell yeah, it is. Like 40% would have fallen to the bottom line if we got it, really. That's a compelling reason. He's going to lose $30,000, and $30,000 is a lot of money, okay? Excuse me, I already did quantify it. If you're able to sell in a world where you can quantify prospects' reasons to buy from you, quantify them. If you're in marketing or something like that, lack of leads, lack of revenue, if you impact your client's top line, bottom line, if you somehow save people time, get them to quantify what they're losing by not hiring you. It's powerful, right? So by the time I've got somebody to a qualified stage in my pipeline, they're saying things like, Rob, this has been happening for 5 years. It costs us $300,000 a year. I've tried to fix it. I don't know how to fix it. I got to fix it or we're in trouble, right? I got to fix it or we're not going to grow. What happens if you don't grow? I can't live, man. I'm an entrepreneur. I got to grow. They're saying stuff like that to me before they're a qualified proposal. Not just me, right? Other salespeople. I don't mean to make it about me like I'm some genius. But chances are, you guys, what's the price to doing a demo with you? Did they just have to want it? What's the price to doing a proposal? Did they just have to want it? Right? Is that it? If that's all it takes, expect them not to have any urgency. Expect them to no-show. But prospects that tell you, I got a problem, it's important, I got to fix it, I believe you could help me. Do not lack urgency. No one's going to say, God, we got to fix this month or I'm screwed. Let's talk about it next quarter. Right? That doesn't work that way. Okay? Now, qualified. They're committed. And you're literally asking them questions like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to fixing this problem? Well, what do you mean? Well, you've been dealing with this issue for 4 years, right? Like, why now? Okay? Committed. Budget. Is budget willing and budget able? And this is where salespeople screw this up. They think when a prospect says, we have a lot of money, that means that the prospect will let them have it. I have a lot of money means I'm able. Okay? Doesn't mean you could have it. So your salespeople will come back to you and you go, they got money, they got budget for this. Can you have it? Well, I didn't ask them, I guess. They're not willing to give it to you. They got to be able to give it to you. They got to be willing to give it to you too. And then the decision step. We didn't talk about this. If you guys, if there's anyone in here that struggles getting in front of all the right people at the right time, but the decision step is the decision body is everybody that's involved in the decision that has decision capital. I'm in front of them, or your salesperson, whoever it is in front of them. You understand the timeline, you understand the process, and you understand the criteria, right? Now let me give you, a couple of you guys have asked, hey, what are some good questions? There's some good questions in decision that you probably aren't asking. Hey, last time you guys made a decision to buy something like this, what did that whole thing look like? Right? If you're in SaaS, hey, last time you guys bought a software solution, what did that look like? Right? You know what the worst decision question ever is? Do you make this decision by yourself? Are you the decision maker? It's awful, because what happens? They either say yes because they're lying because it makes them feel powerful, or they say yes because they think it's the truth. Either way, a lot of times we're in trouble. They don't make the decision by themselves. Have them recount a time that they made a decision in history. Hey, last time you made a decision like this, what did that look like? Well, we talked to the sales guy, and I guess I took the proposal down to Martha. Oh, really? Who's Martha? She's the CFO. Okay. What else? Martha consulted Gary. Oh, who's Gary, right? It's not who makes the decision, it's what you do last time, and they'll walk you through it. Right? They'll walk you through it and you'll know what you got to do. And then decision criteria. Great for disqualifying competitors. Disqualifying competitors. Rob, it's you and 3 other companies. Perfect. What's the criteria? And they either have stupid criteria or no criteria. I'm serious. Ask him. Ask a prospect. Hey, so what's the criteria for making this decision? Price. That's the stupidest criteria in the world. You guys and I fight new salespeople come into our training sometimes, and they go, no, Rob, I make decisions based off price. I'm like, really? Did you drive a 96 Daewoo to get here? Because that's the cheapest car on eBay right now. No. Okay, so fair to say price is important, but not everything. I guess you're right. Okay. You don't make all your decisions based on price, right? Or they'll say, you know what, I guess I don't know that. You know what you do when they say, I don't know what criteria we should use? You feed them criteria. And guess what criteria you feed them? The criteria that's best for you, right? It's pretty rare that I'm in a competitive scenario where someone's going, I'm hiring a sales consultant, we just don't know who. But when they do, I'm often in the hat with somebody else who's lazy, doesn't really value coaching, doesn't really value teaching leaders to coach, doesn't really value developing leaders. They just want to throw people in a sales class and make money for a year and put you on a contract, and then hopefully you renew. If you don't, whatever. They didn't have to do any work, right? And so a criteria question for me would be like, hey, Bob, great. Thanks for sharing that it's me and another company. Let me ask you this. How are you guys handling ongoing reinforcement for this training? Well, I guess I don't know. Okay. What's the leadership development platform look like? I guess we didn't talk about that. Okay, perfect. When you're assessing me versus this other person based off of our ability to coach your people, how are you doing that? I guess I'm not doing that. Okay, you think you should? Yeah, let me help you. Great. Now guess what? One of the guys that's competing for the bid is helping this guy decide how he's going to buy it. Guess who's going to win? Right? Because you know your competitors, you know their weaknesses. You feed your prospect all the good stuff about you. Make sense? Okay. You guys, we got to do virtual selling, but this is a lot to throw out at you, so we'll take another second if we want to run the microphone around one more time before we move on. We got one or two? Okay. Oh, I got like 2 slides before virtual selling.
Hi, this is Luther Tanley with Luminate. How do you qualify a non-business user, so an end user, a customer, someone who doesn't have to, it doesn't come down to money. It may come down to, I just want this product, I guess, or maybe not even want, but how do you qualify that end user?
So they are a decision influencer, but they don't control the purse in the buying process, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Right? Like when you sell enterprise software, there's people that decide to spend the money, but then there's users that want to ride off on it, something like that. Not that you necessarily sell enterprise software. And I'm sorry, what was the heart of your question again?
So
How do you get?
I sell oftentimes to end users, not business to business.
Yes.
They've called me. They're interested in the product, but they may not be someone who is or someone who is going to take advantage of that product, or how do you qualify them, I guess is the better question.
What problem in their life that they really care about does buying you fix?
Coolness. Yeah, I mean, I sell interesting things they find interesting.
I want to know their compelling reason. I want to know their reason. Their reason. Are we in a competitive situation where you got to win on other people?
Not necessarily.
We're talking about they either buy you or they don't buy anything?
That's right. That's correct.
Okay. I want to know their reason. I want to know why they care. Right? If you've got different decision bodies and decision groups, they all have different compelling reasons. Even if it's just the CEO and the CFO. The CEO will buy you for these 3 reasons. The CFO will buy you for these other 3. And they might not be related. We can't assume that they are. So that's where I want to start. I don't know if that helps you or not.
It does. So find their compelling reasons.
They got a reason
to buy me.
They got a reason or they don't. And you guys do not be afraid to be in a discovery meeting and to be with a prospect and to be struggling with finding a real reason to do business. And you go, John, I got to tell you, man, I appreciate you inviting me in and all this stuff, and I appreciate the conversation, and you've been really open and straight with me. But I just don't think that you have got any of the issues that I fix. I'm just not getting to them. Right? Because you'd be so surprised how often they go, wait, let me tell you about this. Right? Like there's nothing wrong with going, I don't see how I could help you. They'll go, let me tell you how you could help me. You'll see that a lot too. We got another one? Are we good? Guess we're good? Okay. Let me show you a couple other sales infrastructure things, and then we'll go. So a lot of salespeople, why salespeople fail, they don't even have the most simplest, stupidest, simplest prospecting plan, right? If I have $1 million goal, okay? I have $1 million goal, let's say. What's my proposal closing ratio? Most people don't even know that. Let's say it's 2.5 to 1. So I know I got to write 2.5 million in proposals this year. Okay? Most people don't even know that. How many final meetings do I have to write 2.5 million in proposals? So this is closing percentage. How many meetings result in proposals? What's the average proposal size? Right? What's the average proposal size? How many discovery meetings do I have to get to a decision meeting? Okay? And let's pretend the only way that I go to market is through cold calling. How many cold calls do I have to get the amount of conversations I need to get a discovery meeting? Right? And most business owners, sales managers don't even have anything that resembles a plan like this, and don't expect your salespeople to do it on their own. Right? And how demoralizing if you guys do goals this way. Hey, Rob, go out on the street and sell $1 million this year. Great, would love to. Don't know how to, though. Right? I can't just get out of bed and find a way to sell $1 million. Right? But what if instead my goal was a daily behavior goal, not a revenue goal? Right? 9750 cold calls. 365 days, I take 150 days off a year, so that's 215. 9750 divided by 215. I got to make 46 dials a day. I can get out of bed and dial the phone 46 times. I can do that. Motivation, Rob, sell $1 million. Whoa, sounds hard. Rob, make 46 dials a day. Not excited to make a ton of cold calls, but I sure as hell can get out of bed every day and make 46 cold calls. Right? So most businesses, salespeople are failing because they don't know what they should be doing every day. They don't know what they need to do to succeed. And I sit down and do this with all my new clients. Hey, what's your proposal closing ratio? It's pretty high. Okay. High means, So you all might know it. I'm not cutting on you. The last 100 people that I sat down with did not know it, though. Right? How many prospecting calls do you need to make to book a meeting? I don't know. Probably depends on the rep. Right? Oh, man. Clarify for your people. Just go out and do this behavior. You're going to succeed. Okay? Here's consultative selling. You've heard me go through this model a few times. Uncovering compelling reason, uncovering pain. They give you the problem. They give you the impact of the problem. You get them to quantify the impact. They tell you they're committed to fixing it, right? Oh my God, that fixes almost everything. If you could truly put every single prospect in your life through this process, it fixes almost everything. Okay. You guys good? We good with all that stuff? Let's talk about virtual selling. Let me do this because I know some of you probably will start to leave a little early here. I've got that feedback form on your table, and those of you online, you've got the Google Sheet. Could you please, it'll take, I know you don't want to do it, but it takes like 3 minutes to fill it out, and it's very useful to me. And I would love for you to commit down on paper what you got out of the session and what you're going to do with it, right? Commitment and consistency. If you write it down, I got a better chance of influencing your behavior in the future that you're actually going to do it, right? Now, if you look at the very bottom of the form, okay, I ask you a question. I don't really ask you a question, but there's yes or no. No does not mean that you hate me, that you hated my talk, that you didn't learn anything. No just means that we don't need to talk about anything in the near future, okay? Doesn't mean you hate me, doesn't mean you don't like to talk, doesn't mean you didn't learn anything. No just means, hey, Rob, we don't need to talk anytime in the future. Yes doesn't mean you're automatically my client, you want to pay me a bunch of money, you want to retain my services. Yes just means, Rob, we uncovered some stuff today. I want to talk to you. I got some questions. Maybe you could help me. Maybe you could help my team. It can mean a lot of different things, but yes just means I'm going to use that contact information that you gave to me, and I'm going to reach out, and we're going to find a way to connect. Fair? And if you guys could go through the whole thing, answer that question at the end, that's it. And if you say no to me, you ain't getting no emails, you ain't getting no LinkedIn messages, you ain't getting no text messages. I don't have time for that stuff, so don't worry about it, okay? Let's talk about virtual selling. There's no magic bullet. There's no magic bullet. You know what? Oh, your closing ratio is 32% on Zoom? Let me tell you about this HD camera. You put it on there, double that sucker, right? There's no magic bullet to virtual selling. Virtual selling is an aggregate of a lot of problems that companies have. But let me start here. Some things that you do have to stop. I knew this would show up too small. Some things that you do have to stop. You got to stop doing today if you're currently doing them. And I know that when I say them out loud, they sound so intuitive. But oh my God, I'm so sick, especially I get new clients, and their salespeople show up, They got all these problems with their virtual selling rig. So stop using onboard. If you're a salesperson and you make money selling to people over Zoom or selling virtually, stop using your onboard microphone. It stinks. Stop it. You don't have to spend $200, but you got to spend like at least $50. Okay? Stop it. It sounds awful. It sounds tinny. You are making your first impression, and I know it's cliche about first impressions in relationships, right? You would not show up with like a big cup of coffee spilled all the way down your white shirt. Stop it. You can't do it. Stop using a low definition camera. I know the camera built into your computer is probably low definition. Stop doing it. You got to buy the high definition bolt-on. You can't do that anymore. Stop using a virtual background if your rig can't handle it. You guys have all been on the thing where the guy's got the virtual background and it's some silly scene in Mexico or something and he's vanishing in and out because he's wearing a green shirt or something. And it's blurry and it's like more distracting. I would rather see what's behind you than this crazy situation with your virtual background. And then you've got the people with the green screen and they got the real clean and the lines are very crisp. We got to stop doing that. Stop selling from a makeshift space. Virtual selling is here to stay, whether you like it or not. We're all going to get vaccinated. A lot of us are going to return to business as usual. But man, there's like efficiencies you can create with virtual selling. Like Zoom is not done. Zoom is going to be fine, and you're going to have to continue to use it. Stop selling from a makeshift space. Sell from a real space. The makeshift thing was fine and funny and cute in March and April and maybe May. And now it's not cool anymore. You can't do it anymore. Stop doing it on an iPhone. Stop taking prospecting meetings on your iPhone. Can't do it. Okay? Or conduct a proposal review on an iPhone. You cannot do it. Okay? Stop doing that stuff if you guys are doing it. Okay. Here are the people who are struggling to adapt. Here are the people who are struggling to adapt. Rest in peace to these people. I'm not telling you not to build relationships. I'm not telling you not to build relationships. And I'm not cutting on you for making a lot of money in your career just because people like you. But if your world is built on, I see people and they like me, and if enough people, if I see them and they like me, they'll buy stuff. You're prepared for a world that doesn't exist anymore. Okay? If you've got salespeople on your team or your sales team is dying, the relationship sale. Now look, are you a hell of a consultative salesperson who is also great at relationships? That's fine. You're not a relationship seller. Right? You're a skilled salesperson. There's a lot of people in selling that can make money just, going around, talking to people and they're liked and they can make money. Not anymore. The relationship seller oftentimes confuses being liked with being respected. Has an audience but not an order. Loses deals this year they could have won last year. Current clients or other orders are contracting and is getting crippled by the bar and the restaurant scene because they made money just out entertaining. Right? Rest in peace, relationship seller. 2020, 2021 is not for you. The milk root seller. The milk root is the person that goes and sees the exact same accounts, right? Happens to me all the time. Rob, we do a great job with our core. It's like everybody's got like our core 20. We have 20 clients that are our core 20 and we do a great job. And Bill has no problem going to our core 20. He just never brings us anything new. And I'm like, it's because he's running his milk route. What's a milk route? It's his core 20, right? Bill, like all other salespeople, he has, I need for approval. His milk route likes him. It's easy, right? They give him orders. The milk route seller is struggling, right? As much as the relationship seller is right now. The milk route won't get it done. They get sacrificed when purse strings tighten. So does the relationship seller. Y'all get sacrificed when purse strings tighten because you're not having conversations with your prospects about compelling reasons to do business, pain, impact, commitment, all that stuff. And so they go, we could put this off for 2 months. We don't have to do this anymore. Right? Because there's no compelling reason conversation. They don't really know what they're getting out of you. Okay? The relationship person, the milk group person also doesn't tend to do very good client reviews and that kind of stuff. So there you go. The milkman next month is going to be his best month. The milkman is waiting for the world to return to normal. If you hear that from your salespeople, be terrified. I've heard that a lot over the last 9 months. We're just kind of waiting for things to go back to normal. Well, guess what? They're not. They're not, man. And what'd you do the last 9 months? Wait for things to go back to normal? Oh, man, they're not going back. They're not going back. The spaghetti seller. Spaghetti, right? You throw a ball of spaghetti against the wall, guess what? Some of it sticks, right? Some of it sticks. Most of it doesn't. Lots of low value, low probability opportunities. Rob, Karen's really good at selling this one particular client, but we really need her in this other vertical. Let me guess. It's a harder target. How'd you know? It's a higher revenue company. It's somebody that's higher on the pecking order. How'd you know that? Because she's afraid to sell to those people. She's only selling to people now that she's comfortable to. Or comfortable in front of. Spaghetti seller, different month, same story. They're a flurry of activity. Guys look busy. Boss, really busy. Got a lot of stuff going on. Got a lot of good stuff going on. There's always excuses, though, why it never happens. Right? I have 30 opportunities in my pipeline. You had 30 last month. How many closed? Okay. And then the features and benefits seller that just wants to get in front of people. Again, remember, you guys, it doesn't make them bad people. But they just want to get in front of people and talk about, oftentimes the feature and benefits seller can be like a really wonderful team person because they can be real passionate about what you guys do, right? In the product. They love the product. The problem is they just want to get in front of prospects and go, you got to see our stuff, right? Now, I love that passion. That's great. But if you skip over the stuff that you got to do before you show them the stuff, you are in trouble. You're in lie, steal, lie, high mode, right? That's where you're living. So the features and benefits seller oftentimes stinks at prospecting, right? They'll tell you, hey, cold calling doesn't work, right? Because you can't cold call somebody and go, hey, I've got this product. You really are going to like it. It does this, it does this, it does that. Hey, I've got this service. I help a lot of companies. It does this, it does that, it does this. No one is ever going to schedule an appointment if that's the way that you cold call. The exception being if you have some kind of brand that they really admire, they're very familiar with, right? Or some kind of incredible, compelling marketplace offer. Okay? Really skilled at talking, super with their product knowledge. Okay, so the reality is that the switch to the virtual platform is just extrapolating the cracks that already existed, right? Companies had people weaknesses, skill set gaps, missing infrastructure, right? Incoherent strategy, that kind of stuff. And the move to virtual is just showing those cracks. Because some of you are sitting here going, man, we had a record year last year. I don't know what you're talking about. You guys know how to sell, right? For the rest, for people that don't have a lot of the weaknesses, they did okay. People who aren't afraid to prospect, people who have elite level salespeople, people who have great infrastructure, people who have great sales coaches, right? They did fine. They didn't have any weaknesses to expose. Okay? These people that say, I'm just waiting for things to return to normal, scare the hell out of me because they're ready for a world that doesn't exist anymore, right? Rob, I am really great at fixing Model Ts. Just get me in front of some Model Ts, I'll be good. Guess what, man? Haven't made those in like 100 years. So that skill set isn't very useful to me anymore. So there's a lot of salespeople out there waiting for the world that doesn't exist anymore to come back. And it ain't coming back. And most of them have spent the last 9 months not preparing for the new world, not doing what they need to do to succeed in the new world. Now, some of them I let off the hook because they just didn't know, right? They don't know where their competency gaps are. They don't know where their process gaps are. They didn't know, right? But now you guys know. You can't ever say someone didn't tell you. So here's who is surviving in the new world. Okay? The decision facilitator. The salesperson that gets prospects to make decisions. Okay? The decision facilitator. Excuse me. Uh-oh. What happened? Oh, I skipped over an extra slide. There it is. Whew. Panicking, right? It's like a nightmare. You're on stage, you lose your slide. Prospects make decision every conversation. The decision facilitator, his or her prospects makes decisions every time they talk. Now that decision isn't always, I'm going to buy you, here's some money. But it's, yes, let's move to the next step. That would make sense. I'll involve these other people, the decision making, and we'll do the proposal review together, right? Yeah, Rob, I'll pay you this a little bit of money. Let's kick off on this one project. Based off how this project works, we'll decide if we're going to do the big thing, right? The decision facilitator is always getting prospects to make decisions. It's okay with no, too, right? Because prospects that are always making decisions will oftentimes tell you no. Okay? They don't only get prospects to make decisions, but the prospects comfortably share the decisions with the salesperson, right? They say, hey, Mrs. Prospect, what do you want to do next? Mrs. Prospect says, you know what, Rob, it was a great meeting, but I just don't think you can help me. Right? So she made the decision, but now I got the information I need. I go, great. Sounds good. Before I leave, can I ask you a couple questions? Because you guys know I didn't go out that easily, right? I'm going to try again. Anyway, the prospect shares the decision that they made. Would kill a deal in favor of dealing with wishy-washiness or ambiguity, right? There's the spaghetti seller got a huge pipeline. None of it ever closes and none of it's ever going to close, but I got a big pipeline. The decision facilitator says, you know what, let me get this crap out of here. The only stuff in my pipeline is going to close. And I don't care if that means I only have 2 deals and I'm behind on my goal. I do not use pipeline as an illusionary tool to make me feel better about my progress in the month, right? Facilitates decisions for the sake of the prospect, right? Okay? A lot of you are worried, especially if you're empathetic people, you're worried, gosh, this is so selfish, right? Selling consultatively, it's like all about me. What about the prospect? Helping the prospect make a decision is a service to them. Helping them figure out. Remember, selling is about helping them make the decision that's best for them. Now, if you're any good at prospecting or your marketing works, you're only in front of people who should hire you. You just have to help them figure that out, right? So oftentimes when they make a good decision, it ends up being a close for you, but you're there just to help them make a good decision, okay? Also, the decision facilitator can separate if from how, and let me tell you what that means. You guys ever, you're at the end of a sales cycle and the prospect's like kind of ready to close and they really want to do it, but there's like this ambiguity and you're not really sure and they're putting you off and you've had the same 3 meetings 3 times in a row and nothing's ever getting done. And they're like, hey, if we get started, does this look like this? And what would the price be like on month 9? And what happens when we renew our contract? And what are the account managers like? And they're trying to figure out what the future looks like. Oftentimes they can conflate if and how. I haven't decided if I'm going to hire you yet, but I think that if I figure out how it's going to work once I've hired you, that'll help me decide if. Doesn't work. The decision facilitator can go, hey, Mrs. Prospect, a lot of great questions. I'm excited that you're asking me all these great questions about what it'll be like when we work together, but I'm a little worried that we haven't figured out if we should even be working together in the first place. Does that sound fair? And she goes, yeah, I guess you're right. Perfect. Can we get that figured out first? And then I would love to talk about this other stuff. Yeah, Rob, that sounds productive. Great. You know, you're following your prospect. If they conflate if and how, you're never going to get if done. It's why a lot of times you have to redirect the questions that your prospects ask you because they're not asking you the right questions at the right time, right? Hey, Rob, how much does this cost? Great question. Little early. Can I ask you a couple questions first to see if we might even have a fit here? Oh, sure, no problem, right? They're asking you the wrong questions, and a lot of times they just don't know a better question, right? They're not trying to hide. They just don't know a better question. Expertly navigates a sequence of decisions, right? The decision to buy you is just a final decision in a sequence of a lot of decisions. What is that sequence of decisions in your world, right? The decision to buy, like there's this myth that there's this closer that can come in and can close anybody. Well, a close is nothing more than like the 12th decision, right? And it's the last decision they have to make. I've already made all the hard decisions. Now you're presenting to me, yeah, let's do it, let's go. You know, I've already decided I have a problem. The problem's impactful. I believe you can fix it. I have the amount of money. I'm willing to spend the amount of money. I find you credible. You know, whatever that is. Your solution's better than our current solution. Doing nothing isn't an option, right? Whatever that sequence of decision looks like for you, the decision facilitator can get those done. You guys, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to go right up until about 11:15, at which point in time y'all can jet, or we can maybe do Q&A. If you want to do Q&A, we'll do it after hours if that's okay. The voracious hunter, okay? It's funny, Marley even read in my introduction that I'm like an oldish millennial. I was born in 1981, which some people say that's a millennial. Like I'm sort of against the whole millennials are lazy or whatever, but there is this mindset in younger people these days, myself and younger, so including my generation, that like prospecting is dead, okay? Part of it comes from marketing has never been better. Like social media marketing is so good when you have a funnel that's working. Part of it comes from there's a lot of companies who sell marketing trying to feed you this thing and make you believe it, right? Like HubSpot wants you to believe that sales prospecting is dead. Because what happens then? You pay HubSpot to do sales prospecting for you, okay? But there still is this archetype, the voracious hunter. And I don't know, I don't really think that there's any company where the salespeople shouldn't be doing some hunting. I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know why. So what if your leads are good? So what if you get good referrals? Like we should still be doing some hunting. The hunter is always hunting. Hunts every day. You know that formula we went through where we took 1 million down to 46 cold calls a day or whatever it was? He or she knows his behavior that he or she has to do. They have prospecting awareness. Let me give you an example of prospecting awareness. If we get out of this meeting and you know, whatever, 6 months goes down the road, and then I come back to Nashville in 6 months, and I run into one of you at a bar, and we're talking about football, and then you go, you know, my business from a sales perspective isn't doing what I wish it would do. What would come out of my mouth next? Tell me about that. I just can't help it, right? Rob, my business just isn't doing what it should be doing from a sales perspective. Tell me about that. I'm not trying to manipulate you. I just have high prospecting awareness. And my radar just went up. You go, look, I'm suffering from a problem that I know I could help you with. So I'm going to go, whoop, tell me about that. You're now my prospect, right? Also, please don't think that, you know, my prospects like to be my prospects, right? There's this paradigm in sales where it's like salespeople are just these annoying amoeba things that we have to deal with to get some things that we need sometimes, right? If you're selling the right way, people should enjoy the sales process, should enjoy being your prospect, should enjoy having the consultative conversation. The hunter has a good pipeline, but the pipeline is full of real stuff, okay? Not like the spaghetti seller where the full pipeline is a bunch of crap. Is not a perfectionist, okay? Most people find perfectionism to be like an endearing trait. Rob, we got Gina on the team. She's a perfectionist. Ugh. You guys know why we can't hire salespeople who are perfectionists? Huh? They hate to fail. It's a good one. You get bogged down, they'll never get started. They'll never prospect. Rob, so we learned the 30-second commercial and we did that role play. I think if we do that role play about 6.3 million more times, I'll be ready to make some cold calls, right? You got to go out there and flail around. You know, you guys got to go out, new salespeople got to go out there and flail around. You can't be a perfectionist. The hunter gets referrals, partially because they're always getting in front of new prospects, and so they've got good karma going on, right? They're always creating new opportunities for themselves. Partially because it's part of their playbook. They're constantly trying to get referrals. The hunter can recover from rejection. He or she gets rejected 40 times a day. They don't care. It's part of doing business. Don't take it personally. Doesn't change the way that they feel about themselves, their opinion about themselves. The hunter needs to succeed more than they need to be liked. Deprioritize being liked over the need to succeed when it comes to prospecting. Right? I get my needs met from my daughters. My daughters love me. So does my boxer. Right? I get my ass kicked at work prospecting, pardon my language. But I go home and my toddler goes, they got the daddy eyes, right? That's how I get my needs for approval, right? Hi, baby. And my dog, if my dog only knew that I'm not like half the person she thinks I am. But that's how I get my needs met, right? I don't get it at work when I'm calling people that would prefer not to necessarily talk to me in this moment, right? And a lot of salespeople make decisions about how they feel about themselves based off what happens to them when they're making cold calls, right? And if you do that, you are in trouble. And you will not succeed. So here you go. Two more. The paradigm shifter. Okay? Selling is about changing beliefs. Elite level salespeople get in front of somebody who thinks they believe one thing, and they leave that conversation, and that person believes something totally different. Right? Rob, we don't need a sales consultant. I could appreciate that, no problem. So you guys are crushing it, right? We are. Really? Yeah, we're really good. We know how to prospect. We close deals. Closing ratio? Pretty high. If you had to guess, 28%. Jim, that's high? What, it's not? Right? Just that moment, all of a sudden, a little thing in his brain changed. He got out of bed this morning thinking, man, my team knows how to close. And Rob was just a little skeptical. And now he thinks, oh, maybe that's not high enough. Right? So those little moments, the paradigm shifter gets their prospects to think, believe differently, look at the world differently. Gets prospects past nice to have and need to have. Right? Man, we lose so much money with prospects that go, that would be nice to have. Wouldn't mind having that. Maybe next month. You know, we actually need this. We need this. But for now, we can do it on our own. Right? Nice to have, need to have, must have. Gotta do it now or else. That's what the paradigm shifting consultative seller does. Can stay in the moment, does not get emotionally involved, can hang in there and ask tough questions, ask great questions, ask a ton of questions. Right? I showed you guys the consultative selling model, pain, impact, commitment, pain, impact, quantification of impact, commitment. Salespeople oftentimes get a little bit of pain and then they bail. They're uncomfortable asking 12 questions in a row. And they don't know how to do it conversationally. So we'll ask a lot of questions. And can prioritize execution over being liked, right? One thing that's difficult about selling consultatively, especially if you're a nice person, especially if you are an empath, if you're an empathetic person, selling consultatively, you have to create cognitive dissonance. You have to make your prospect's brain go haywire a little bit, right? When this guy tells me, yeah, we close at 28%, and I go, that's high? I'm causing him a little bit of pain at that moment, right? He goes, oh, maybe it's not. And really empathetic people sometimes can struggle with that. Even though the cognitive dissonance, the pain that you cause that you're about to fix is really great for him, sometimes really empathetic people can struggle with that. Okay? One more seller who's succeeding, it's the Stoic. The Stoic takes responsibility for everything, right? Pandemic, 50% of my orders canceled. Figure it out. My goals is my goals, right? Figure out how to do this on Zoom, right? Got to do it. What am I going to do? Not pay my bills? Got to do it. Knows there's a way and will find it. For those of you, and I'm not cutting on you, those of you who had a bad 2020, because maybe it was some of the market's fault. But for those of you who had a great 2020, right? You know who you are. Had a great 2020. And it wasn't because the market gave it to you. It was because you freaking figured it out. There was that moment, I remember it was a Thursday, the stock market crashes, we're talking about not going into work anymore, all that kind of stuff. We're trying to figure it out. In March, forget what day it was. It was a Thursday when it sunk in for me. I don't know when everything actually hit the fan. And I panicked and cried for a couple days, right, in the corner. But then there's that moment where I go, gonna figure it out, find a way to succeed. Those of you who had a great 2020, you know that you did that, right? You went, damn it, this business is gonna succeed, this business is gonna triumph, we're gonna figure it out. And then you went down and figured it out, right? That's the Stoic seller. The Stoic seller spends no time as the victim. Why is this happening to me? Why can't we just have a good couple years? Why is the economy recessing? Why are my prospects so mean? Spends no time as the victim. Also, here's the key, right? What Stoics are famous for. Adversity brings opportunity, right? The obstacle ends up being the way, right? The thing in the path becomes the path, right? So the Stoic seller goes, challenge accepted. It might not be this year, but how do I parlay this challenge into future success? The Stoic says, how do I parlay this challenge into a better year 5 years from now? How is this economic recession ultimately going to help me make more money than I would have made without it? Right? That's what this person does. And they succeed because of adversity, not despite of it or in spite of it. Guys, that's all I got. If we have questions, look, it's 11:14. So thank you so much for filling out your forms and just turning them and leaving them on your thing. If you want to leave on time, remember, I'm really informal. I completely respect it. You got things to do. But I also will hang out even if we go offline and I put a mask on and we do some talking. If we've got questions, I don't want to bail out of here without answering some questions. So if you guys want to leave, cool. If you want to hang out, we can do some questions.
Audience that wants to answer some questions. No one's leaving.
Right
Here we go.
And Zoom, too, is good. My folks on Zoom. See you guys. Thank you so much for coming. And holy heck, what a great job by Marla and everybody else, right? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Rob, great
What
job.
a freaking great event. Amazing. Amazing.
Rob, great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Kraft. Can we go back to right before you went to virtual selling and talk a little bit more about the process?
The sales process?
Yeah, to avoid the lie, steal, lie positive, and just flush
So
that out a
not
little bit
this,
more.
but the other.
Yeah, we spent some time on this the next couple slides that we rushed through.
You want this one or no? Whoops, sorry. That's my calendar. That's not what you want.
No, I think it was the last two before virtual selling.
So I skipped some stuff. We did this. We did this. We did this.
Okay.
Am I missing it?
Nope, maybe I just was thinking too fast.
Is there a particular question, and then maybe it'll help me figure out where we need to go?
No, I'm good.
Anyone else? Coming?
Look for it.
Ty with Adams King. Can you talk a little bit? I'm interested in your journaling and like stuff like that. Are you following like a program, or just how did you decide to come to that decision? And I guess talk through the mechanics on how you.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
So in the Sandler network, Sandler Sale, David Sandler, consultative selling kind of was a thing that was born, I think, probably in the 70s, and there was a couple different schools, and one of them Sandler, and comes from David Sandler. And frankly, I was always a person who would try something that I didn't believe in if somebody who had what I wanted was doing it, right? So I'm lucky I've got a bunch of clients. I mean, I've got clients that can buy and sell me 100 times, but I know more about selling than them, so they keep me around or whatever. And if they tell me, hey, Rob, here's what you got to do, I'll do anything. I'll try anything once. I don't care what it is, right? And so I was skeptical, but that comes from Sandler, and then I know a lot of people in that network who are at levels of success that I'm not at yet that are doing this. But the formula is a couple things. I write down my goals every day, right? So I have a revenue number, I have income, I have some sales KPIs. If you guys exercise, I hate running. I do powerlifting. I have these powerlifting goals this year that I write down. But you don't have to be a powerlifter, I don't think. But if you have exercise, if you struggle with fitness, I think you should attach a goal to it, because then it becomes meaningful, right? So I have goals for that. I have goals for my kids, but I basically write down 6, 7 goals. I write down at least 10 things I'm grateful for, which, boy, did that get you through the pandemic, right? And look, you guys, I will go so basic. I am grateful for a warm bed. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes that's what it takes. Because I think we forget. I was so sick of people, and I did not suffer, right? I did not suffer. I don't want to get into politics. I'm not socioeconomically challenged. There's a lot of people that suffered a lot more than me, but I got kind of sick of privileged people like complaining about the pandemic. I was like, you got a warm bed, don't you? Your refrigerator works. You have food abundance. So those are some things that I journal about abundance. I'm so grateful for abundance. I'm grateful that my daughters are healthy. So I do gratitudes. And then there's affirmations, or like there's belief, things that you want different about your belief system, and I can give you examples if you want. I close the gap between who I am today and the best possible version of myself. That's something else I got from Stoicism. There's this concept of always being the best version of yourself. I don't indulge my lesser self. I live in a time of abundance. I'm addicted to the process, not the outcome. I'm a loving, gentle, nurturing, considerate, supportive, and compassionate parent. I'm battle tested. You know, this is unique to me for these 3 months. And when I take my clients through this exercise, it's, what are you trying to fix? There's usually like belief system issues, self-concept, self-esteem issues. I always go, what are you trying to fix? And we get through that, and normally together we can come up with 3 or 4 affirmations for each thing that they're trying to fix that then they can repeat for a couple months. You could also, if you lack discipline, you could write down behavior. I'm going to do these 3 things before I go to bed no matter what. But yeah, I will not go to bed without goals, gratitude, and some affirmations, even if it takes only 2 minutes. Make sense? Yeah.
Got 2 from online, but I'm going to ask because someone was asking, do you journal it like pen to paper, or I saw you on your phone? Do you do it on your
I
phone?
believe that I wish I could tell you I did pen to paper. because I really do think that that's ideal. But it's called Grid Diary. It's an app on iPhone, GRID, Grid Diary. It's like $3 a month. You set up a template, right? Because it's 5:15. I've had some coffee, but I'm not excited. I'm still in my bathrobe, right? And it's like, I want the prompts. And so I like having the electronic prompts of what to journal, right? So that's what I do.
Thanks. Okay, so this is from Lee Fairball. Where do you source your audio affirmations?
They come from me, and the app is called Voice Dream. Is an app that I bought that is an AI that reads off my affirmations in a reasonably sounding real life voice. So the source of the affirmations come from me, but the app is Voice Dream, and so she reads back my affirmations to me, in the car or on my AirPods. Yeah.
This is from Jenny Staggs. I'm interested in great referral tactics.
Getting more referrals? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. 20-60-20 rule. Okay, let's take your clients. The easiest people to get referrals from are your clients, right? So take your clients. 20-60-20 rule. 20% of your clients are probably giving you referrals even though you don't ask for them, right? So there's a bucket of people that will get you referrals even when you don't ask for them. 20% of your clients, 20% of the world won't get you referrals no matter what. I don't know what it is. It's like a sickness. There's just some people that just won't refer you any business. I don't know what it is. The point of sharing that is don't be offended if a great client won't give you referrals. They're just in the 20%. 60% of everybody will refer, but you have to help them. You got to ask, right? So 20% are probably giving you referrals without you asking. 60% will refer, but you haven't asked. 20% won't no matter what. And so you got to go to work on the 60%. We showed you a prospecting plan for cold calling to get to $1 million. Asking for referrals should also be in your prospect plan, right? You should have a goal around, I'm going to ask for referrals. Here's how I like to do it. I will email Marla and say, hey, Marla, can we take 15 minutes sometime? I want to ask for your help with something. And I want something on the calendar where we're going to sit down and the client knows it's about me, they're there to help me. That might be my own trash, but it helps me from feeling selfish, right? I'll email them and say, hey, Mr. Client, hey, Mrs. Client, can I get your help? Can we schedule 30 minutes? I'm going to ask you for some introductions. And they always say, of course, right? So then we schedule it for next Tuesday. The cool thing that happens is between now and next Tuesday, their mind occasionally is thinking of people that they can refer me, right? Every now and then they're in the gym or in the shower, or their brain is going, oh, I got that call with Rob. John might be a good introduction, blah, blah, blah. So then I go to the meeting with them and I go, I'm going to ask you for some referrals. And then it's your job to go through their mental Rolodex and make them think of one person. One mistake that people make is, well, I can work with almost anybody. No, your job is to take this person's brain and get their mental Rolodex filed down to one person, right? I need entrepreneurs that live in Indianapolis, that are in tech, right? That are between 2 million and 10 million, right? They're probably my age or younger. They probably live in the city. Oh, that's John. Got it. You know what I mean? Like, I need you to think of one person, not 50 people. You'll never get 10 referrals in a session, so make them think of one person at a time. But that's your job. That's our job to come to that meeting with the questions to ask to get them narrowed down to, who we need to think about. Cool?
Okay, here's one over here.
Did giving you the slides help? Okay, we'll go to you next. How about that?
My name's Rob as well, so I think you have a great name. Can you go back and touch on, please, the if and the how? It's something I think I run into a little bit.
Yeah, so all that I could tell you is there's this moment, and it's really frustrating because it's like the prospect's like, I like you, and I think I want to do business with you, and I think I see value, and it's like they just can't, but there's like something that they can't get over that you can't put your finger on, right? And oftentimes you'll have a call on Thursday, and you start the call, and you have a great conversation, and the call ends, and nothing changed. And then you have a call on Tuesday, and you start the call, and you end the call, and nothing changed, right? That's kind of somebody, to me, that's the paradigm when somebody's stuck. And what you have to do is separate. They're probably trying to make 5 decisions at once, or they're probably trying to make decisions out of sequence, right? Like, so when my wife goes to buy the Forester, we didn't go to Subaru and say we're going to buy a car. Now, what color does it come in? Well, that changes based off of the model. We can't decide the color before we decide the model, right? So we would be trying to make a decision out of sequence. And so the exercise that like we would do together if we had time, or that I recommend you do, is to think through what are all the decisions that your prospects have to make that culminate in them buying you, and what's the most likely one that they're stuck on. And one thing that you'll find too is, hey, Mrs. Prospect, I'm a little worried that right now we're trying to talk about what month 6 will look like, and you haven't even decided to buy me yet. And so you could come with, is this what's happening? And she might go, that's not what's happening. What's really happening, oftentimes you could ask them a great question, and just your curiosity and the fact that you really care about why they're stuck and that you're really working hard to get the business done, oftentimes that'll jar them to go, you know what, here's what it really is. Does that make sense? Does that help at all? That's a good question.
Yeah, Rob, you spent a lot of time on the milestones, which I thought was great for the sales process. And
Yeah.
you just kind of rushed through the end of the consultative selling. And I think somebody even had a question about consultative selling and Sandler training here at the end. And it's just more so that that's a little bit, not antiquated, but an older model that's not being used as much on that slide, or it's just appropriate for certain situations. I just want to make sure I didn't miss that.
I'm sorry, can you ask the same question again? I didn't quite get it.
Sure. The slide on consultative selling, we missed problem or issue, impact, qualification of impact, commitment to fixing. Is there anything you'd highlight from that, or was it more so that we should be spending time on the sales milestones where we spent a lot of time?
So when it comes to consultative selling, here's one thing that I think is true. Almost all salespeople think that they're good at it, and almost all salespeople are bad at it, okay? So like I want everybody to assume you're probably not as great at the question asking and the questioning strategy as maybe you believe that you are. Another thing is that people tend to think that technical questions that the prospect eventually would have to answer are good questions, right? So if I need to know the square footage of your warehouse if you're going to buy the thing that I buy, or the thing that I sell, I'm going to come in and go, John, what's the square footage of your warehouse? And he goes, 28,000 square feet. And I'm going to go, oh, I'm so great at asking questions. Well, that was a terrible question. That didn't help him make a decision. You just got some technical knowledge. So consultative selling, to me, it's you're exerting influence and changing beliefs, but it's questions to help them figure out how impactful the problem is. Like a great consultative selling question is, what's happening because of that? Hey, we've had this issue for 3 months. Well, what happens because of that? Well, this thing happens on the assembly line. Well, what happens because of that? Well, some orders are late. Well, they're not important orders, are they? Yeah, we almost lost our second biggest client last month. Oh, so that's a problem. Yeah. Worth fixing? Yeah. And that guy, before you brought him there, probably did not know that he almost lost his second biggest client because of this problem we started with, right? Another thing would be, it's like just making them think through whatever they need to think through. Getting them to make a decision, like, how important is it that you take care of this? Why is that important? There's also this concept that a lot of people use now that originated in Sandler, where you could get people to share more information. I guess you would call this consultative selling because it's asking a question, but you can get more people to share better information with you if you ask them questions like from a negative pose. So like most salespeople are going, hey, what's it going to take to get this deal done? How can I get you convinced that we're going to buy this, right? Negative selling is like, I sort of get the feeling like you're no longer interested, right? I kind of get the feeling, John, I haven't heard from you from 3 weeks. I must have pissed you off. It's like giving them a negative option, right? Because what happens with a salesperson? A salesperson tells a prospect, hey, I kind of feel like you don't want to buy from me. Well, whatever the hell the prospect was scared of sharing with you, they can now share with you because they know that you think that they don't want to buy from you. So there's nothing worse that they could tell you, right? So like asking questions from a negative tint, like, hey, this probably isn't happening to you. You probably decided against it, right? So it's 15 grand. Should I leave? Did you just fall out of your chair? Right? Like they'll share more with you if you're like assuming bad things. Because they'll always go, if like you assume something really bad, they'll go, it's not that bad, it's just this bad. But they were afraid to tell you it was bad, right? But now they'll tell you. Does that make sense?
One more from the chat and then one more live. And then Rob, I know Rob will still take questions one-on-one in a socially distanced atmosphere. So question is from Ann Brady. What if you are calling new companies to refer their customers to your company, i.e. iCloud phone companies to our headset company?
So you're calling someone who's not your client to refer their clients to you?
Yes. And how would you open with that and get to the correct DM?
It's got to be about what's in it for them, okay? So all of my marketing clients end up referring clients to me because they generate leads for them and then they screw them up, right? And it's like, dude, the marketing's working. You just think it's selling. Talk to Rob. That could also work if the marketing company isn't my client. I could go to a marketing company and I go, hey, do you have clients that are blaming you because the leads are good, but they're not getting ROI because they think it's selling? And they go, heck yeah, I do. And I go, do you want help with that? And they go, yeah. And I go, here's what you do. You get a room full of your clients. I teach them some things at selling. At the very least, they learn a couple things about selling, and they'll probably learn that they know a lot less about selling than they thought that they knew. And then you're not going to get blamed anymore. And they're like, great. So like they didn't pay me any money, but it's like a transaction that we closed that they got a lot of benefit from. So however you're approaching the people that you need a referral from, what's in it for them? What do they get if they refer you a piece of business? And that could just mean that they made them feel good for referring it to you. But the what's in it for them, this becomes like its own sales transaction. And the what's in it for them is like the compelling reason to do business, right? In the sales process.
And do we have one more live question, and then y'all can do one-on-one? Anybody?
Cool. All right, so I'll take this off, put the mask on, and maybe hang out in the hall if you guys have anything else.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
It was great.